Yeah, what's going on, folks? Welcome to Ichabod. I am your host, Be Good, and we are in effect getting ready to take some calls today. And the topic is why should I believe in God? And I think we're going to have some fun with this one, but we're going to start the bidding off with no bidding. We're going to start the show off just welcoming folks into the chat and giving a shout out to the special people, the most special people, that is our Patreon supporters who support Ichabod. We thank all of y'all for rocking with the channel. And lo and behold, the list is growing of people who say, hey, you know what? Can I help support the channel? Yes, you can. Shout out to all the folks on the screen right now. If your name is on the screen, your name is in my heart. And even if you can't support financially, you know what you can do? You can like, you can subscribe, you can take the link and share it to somebody. Say, hey, there's some good conversations going on over here on this channel. Let's talk about it. In the meantime, want to say what's up to some folks. What's up, Mo Wheat? You, what up? And Ambassador LPW. Hey, we got to connect. I'm trying to get you on to do a proper Life After Faith episode, but I'll be reaching out to you on the other platform. So, yes, long time no see. Good to see you. Come on into the chat. And as we like to say here, greet somebody in reason's name. Also, more than just a shout out, praise to Yahweh, the talking God up above my head, as you see him floating high and low as he condescends like clouds do to be with us on this episode. So, yeah, we're going to have some fun today. Daryl Williams, what's happening? Salutations. So I get hit up from people all the time who are looking for a community, looking for other former Christians, and particularly they're like, "Hey, I didn't know that there were people of color who've deconverted and are speaking out about their former faith or their lack of faith." So just welcoming to all kinds of folks. I don't care if you're overseas. I got people from Australia, people from England, people from the islands, different islands. Um, Shout out to all of you. And yes, thank you so much. What's up? My unique Monique, thank you. She says, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome in Reason's name. Indeed. And she also dropped the link to the Patreon. If you're not a Patreon supporter, you can join. Matter of fact, would appreciate those who would join because somebody just hit me up. They hit me up about a week or two ago, and I just got to their email, and they were kind of like chewing me out, like in a good way. Like, hey man, they said I saw you on the line with Matt Dillahunty. Then they said, but you're the hardest person to find because your YouTube is one name, your Instagram is a different name, your Facebook is another name, your TikTok is a different name. So they said, and then they said your book is on a, only on some of the sites you link your book. They said you're the hardest person to follow online. They said at least start a link tree. I was like, yeah, I've seen link trees. Let me go start one. Well, Linktree is $144 a year. So there's that. And then I just found out last week, I thought I had done like for anybody who streams out there, if you're on StreamYard, like their price was ridiculous. And so I said, hey, I'm canceling. And they came back and was like, oh, you're going to cancel? How about if we give you a reduced rate? I was like, all right, bet. And I thought I had been paying the reduced rate for like the last 2 years. And I got to go check the fine print because it turns out that reduced rate was only for the first year. I just found out a few days ago that the whole last year, I've been paying the regular rate for StreamYard this entire time, which is like $44 a month. So I'm like, damn, they've been getting me for over a year now. I'm going to try to go back and do the thing where I cancel, and maybe they'll offer me the reduced rate again. But yeah, and so I mean, there's all kind of things, services that I use to make the thumbnails for the video. There's all kind of expenses. So if you do sign up, this is not like just, hey, I'm trying to like a money grab here. Like, no, there's actually expenses that go along with doing all this stuff. So anybody who signs up, $5 a month, $10 a month, some people give more. I truly appreciate you all for standing with the channel. And my sister is in the chat. What up, Shah? Good to see you. Good to see you. So typically, if nobody calls in, I spend time just pontificating, and I have fun doing that because I have a lot of thoughts throughout the day that I just like working out. And some people just enjoy that. It's like, yo, let's just pontificate and work through some things and kind of workshop some ideas. But I really would love to hear from some theist callers I always say this, in particular, Christian callers, because that's the religion that I know. So I get questions all day, every day in my message, my inbox on Facebook, and somebody said, "Yo, okay, are you, I hear that you don't believe in the Bible's God anymore, but are you swearing off of all gods?" Like, and then I just saw this comment email today. I mean, brother was like really going through it. Like, yo, I used to listen to Cross Movement back when I was young. I grew up on y'all. And then he said, I too am no longer a believer in the Bible's God, but I can't just write off the idea of God in general. Like, how do you get there? And these are sincere questions. And so I want to begin to talk about that today. How do you go from religion, a particular religion, to atheism? Where I'll talk about how I got there. But then if you're a believer in a particular God, or just any God in general, and you want to call in and answer the prompt, why should I believe in God? And then maybe you want to take it a step further and tell me, why should I believe in your God? Why should anybody believe in your God? Why do you believe in your God? A lot of Christians have an unexamined faith. Not just Christians, Muslims as well. People who grew up in a household where you were taught, this is our God. These are our practices. This is what we believe. It's very rare that people examine their faith until they kind of get outside of that context. And maybe you go to college and you hear some things that sort of make you question, what you were raised believing. Like Bobby Boucher, when he gets to college and the professor's like telling him things that his mother told him the opposite. Like mom gave him some basic ideology. Like, no, that's not why alligators or whatever, crocodiles, that's not why they're angry. They're angry because they can't forget what his mom told him. Some crazy reason his mom told him. And the professor's like, no, they have a small medulla oblongata. That's why they're so angry all the time. He charged and tackled the teacher because that goes against what mama taught me. Mama said they're ornery because of whatever. In a lot of ways, that's how the religious person is. You have these very basic Sunday school ideas as to how the earth was created, how and why humans were created, why humans are not as good as we feel we often should be. And you've got these archaic, ancient ideas as to how you explain the world to yourself. And until you run across somebody who challenges those ideas, you rarely challenge them yourself, unless you're a very, very curious person. So like I envy my sister. She says facts, right? My sister, she says, I hope you don't mind me saying this, back when we were younger, in my early teens, I started kind of giving myself to the God idea. And she says, like, I used to like be envious of y'all because me and my older sister, she said, I could never believe. I wanted to, I just couldn't believe the way that y'all believed. And I look back and like, damn, I wish I had a little more, like, I wish I had questioned more. I wish I was a little more inquisitive, a little less credulous. But if you're not a thinking and a critical thinking person, you take what's handed down to you and you start conforming all the facts of reality to the things that you've been taught. Oh, well, I guess what the pastor said is true because, I mean, look at Hitler, like that must have been sin. And look at this, that must have been, and you conform all the facts of reality to the things that you've been told. And then anything that doesn't fit the model that you've been given, you do one or two things. You either dismiss it, that doesn't fit with what I've been taught, and you blame the devil or you blame the sinful heart of man, or whatever you do, you dismiss it, or you put it on the back burner and you say, maybe we just don't know enough yet to know. Like I've had, when I was in seminary, I had professors who said, science and the Bible don't disagree. And where they appear to disagree, give it time and science will come around to what the Bible's always been saying. Like you sort of put it off to later that at some point, even if not during your lifetime, maybe 3 generations in the future, they'll come and say, hey, you know what? Guess what? And then science will end up agreeing with the Bible. The Bible is not going to have to change. All right. That's one of two things that you do. There is a third way, right? The third way is to be a progressive Christian, where you just make the Bible much less literal, where you just say, hey, maybe science is true and the Bible's true, but maybe the Bible's not true in a literal way. Maybe it's doing some other things. And so those are some of the things that I like to get into, but I'm just curious. I would like to know from you, why should I believe in God? Because as I came out of Christianity, it helped me to not just look at Christianity, but say, what about these other religions? What about these other God claims? And it dawned on me, I said, oh, well, if the thing that I was believing, if that's just claims, I would say facts, like my sister said, right? Somebody says something, you're like, facts. What do you mean when you say facts? I'm not talking to you, Sha. I'm just talking in general. When you say facts, do you mean, no, that's a confirmable objective fact? Or do you just mean, I agree with that? Because a lot of times when people say facts, what they should be saying is claims. Like, we don't know if that's a fact. That's a claim. Yo, claims. You dap them. Yo, claims, not facts. It's not facts until you can demonstrate it to be true. And you having strong feelings about something doesn't make it facts. Neither does your incredulity. So a minute ago, I talked about how credulous I was. Credulous just means I'm very willing to believe things, right? I find a lot of things credible that I should find incredible. Like when we say incredible, we don't use the word the way it's really meant. Like, yo, that's incredible. We mean that to be like, oh, that's awesome. No, the word incredible literally means it's not believable. Yo, that's incredible. Means it's not believable. So I was very credulous, meaning I was very willing to believe things easily. The opposite of being credulous is having incredulity. I just like, I find that hard to believe, and I'm not going to lower my intellect to the level I would have to lower it to accept that on the level of evidence that you're presenting it with. Maybe it's true, but the level of evidence you're presenting it with, it doesn't warrant my belief. So I find it incredible. I'm going to be incredulous. I'm not going to believe that, because even if it's true, the level of evidence you're providing does not warrant my belief. So rather than saying facts, claims. Yo, claims. How do you move it from claims to facts? Demonstrate the reality of what you're saying. You can either demonstrate the reality of what you're saying or lay out an argument that I would almost have to be foolish not to accept. So if you're going to call in and tell me why I should believe your God, you're going to have one or two things. Evidence that I can't refute, and I'm just going to be honest with you, I'm going to try to refute it. If you call in, I'm not going to deal with you with kid gloves. I'm going to be gracious, but I'm going to poke and prod at the thing that you're saying. Here's why you should believe my God. I'm going to ask some penetrating questions. I think we all need to have that, just that probing, prodding. Can I take that down a notch? Because if it can withstand questioning, then maybe I should believe it. But if it can't withstand questioning, maybe you shouldn't believe it. So if you call, you can do one of two things. You can demonstrate why I should believe it, some kind of demonstration that shows me that your God is real, or present an argument that leaves me with no choice but to say, you know what? You probably got a point. Like, maybe I should believe. Maybe I should believe. So I am looking for theists to call in and tell me why I should believe in God, period. And then maybe we can go a step further and you can tell me why I should believe in your God. Why should anybody believe in your God? Or why do you believe in your God? So my unique Monique has been posting the link in the chat. If you feel like you can't follow and can't see her post, you don't know who My Unique Monique is, well, I just posted it in the chat as well. Oh, if you're on Instagram, the link is in my bio. The link changes every day. So if you got the link from yesterday, you're not going to be able to use that on Instagram. Go to my bio. It's the new link. Let me go to Facebook, and I always forget to do this. Post the link in Facebook. Give me a second to do that. All right. Call in. Okay. And then let me pin it, and we're good to go. All right. So yeah, that's the question. Why should anyone believe in God? Why do you? And if you want to make it personal, why should we believe in your God? Have I heard any good reasons since I've deconverted to believe in God? I don't want to do your work for you. I could talk through some of the reasons that I've heard that made me say, maybe that's plausible. But I'm not going to help you out. So I'm not going to answer that question straight away. Am I opposed? I will answer this question. Am I opposed to God, to the idea of God? I'm not opposed to it. My view on God is an ancient hypothesis. I think very many people long ago had questions about how, why, what. And no one down here had answers. But there was one last hope. Maybe no one down here has the answers, but we see a lot of motion going on up there. Clouds move, the sun rises and sets. There's stars. Some of those stars shoot across the sky. Lightning comes from up there. There's thunder. You see motion and movement in the heavens, and you begin to think, well, shit. I mean, every time I see motion and movement down here, there's typically an agent. Now, it could just be the wind. Maybe there's a heavenly version of wind. But no, if I see motion, it's a safe guess to think that motion and movement means there's a mover. And so somehow they got it in their mind that the movement in the clouds must mean there's a mover in the clouds. And then they assign to that mover motives. What does it want? What is it doing? What has it done? Maybe it's done all this. Maybe all this is the work of its hands. God was an ancient hypothesis. A hypothesis is it's an educated guess. It's a guess that you need to test to see. Okay, now let's see if it's actually true. Let's see if it has explanatory power. Can it explain things? Let's see if it has predictive power. Can I make predictions based on it? Right? I think God is an ancient hypothesis that is not panned out. I can't rule it out, but I don't think it's panned out. So that's where I am with the idea of God. I'm an atheist because I don't think the idea of God has panned out. And all the gods that we know of, all the gods that people have told stories about, and they've codified their stories and made their stories, put their stories in print. The gods who put their stories in print are the most debunkable gods there are. Like, if your God is never spoken, then we can't catch him in a lie. But the second you begin to put your God's story in print, well, now we can weigh his words. So all the gods that we know of, especially the ones that have a holy book and that have prophets, and their prophets have prophesied, all of those gods go out the window because none of their prophecies have panned out. All the prophecies about Jesus, like he fulfilled these Old Testament prophecies. No, he didn't. I would love for someone to call in and tell me the Old Testament prophecies that you think Jesus fulfilled. I'm going to do my best DZ debates impression and explain to you how that's not the case. I remember being in seminary and looking at the New Testament authors' use of the Old Testament. And I sat in class like, What? Like, this is what I've been going around the world, because I always thought there was something a little wonky about how the New Testament authors use the Old Testament. But I said, man, I don't have the time, or maybe the patience. I don't know the original languages. I'm going to just take the word for the apologists and the study Bibles and the Hebrew scholars that come to our churches. I'll take their word that these New Testament authors, when they say Jesus fulfilled this prophecy and this prophecy, that there's more to it than what it looks like. Because it looks like the New Testament authors are taking these passages way out of context. I get to seminary and I learned the original languages, and I'm reading Hebrew and I'm reading Greek, and I'm hearing the New Testament professor and the hermeneutics professor try to explain to us why it's okay for these New Testament authors to take these Old Testament passages out of context and say, yeah, Jesus fulfilled this. Yo, it took so much steam out of my engine. It took so much air out of my balloon to realize Jesus didn't fulfill a single Old Testament prophecy in context. And many of the prophecies weren't even prophecies. They're just statements that someone said, ooh, I can make that into a prophecy. So I would love to discuss with you what I think is the con job of the New Testament. But I'm sure for many of you, that's why you believe, because look at this prophecy he fulfilled and this prophecy. But it's not just the Old Testament prophecies that he didn't fulfill. It's the ones that are made in the New Testament that didn't come to pass. But all of the religions are like this. The ones that have holy books are the most debunkable gods that there are. And so maybe there is a God. It's not one of the ones we've been worshiping. Maybe it's some deist God who sparked it off and left. But why should I even think that? Because all you're doing when you make these God hypotheses is you're taking everything we know about us and you're maximizing it, you're externalizing it, putting it outside of us, you're projecting it into the heavens, and you're personifying it, and you're making us God. You're making God just a bigger version of one of us. I've got no reason to think that at all whatsoever. But lest I scare away anybody who wants to call in and talk, I do want to hear from you why you think we should believe in God. Why you think we should believe in your God, let alone God. And tell me how these God claims have panned out, because I don't think they do. I don't think they have. I think we work overtime. We work overtime doing what it takes to make the God claims make sense. That is what your pastors are doing. That is what your favorite theologians are doing. That is what your favorite biblical archaeologists are doing. They're working overtime to make the God claims seem like they haven't all failed, or here's how they could still possibly pan out. This is why, as beautiful and as holy and as strong as we all said the Bible was back when we were believers, why did there have to be an infinite number of books written about this one book that we said this is all we need? Why do you need commentaries on Jeremiah? Why do you need commentaries on Revelation? Why do you need 4 views on eternal security and 5 views on, there will forever and ever and ever be books written about the book. Why? Because it hasn't panned out, and now we've got to work overtime to make it seem like it hasn't failed completely. That's what the Christian exercise is. It's not, is it an exercise in futility? The Christian enterprise is a rescue mission. If you're a Christian, it is your mission to rescue the Bible from all of its failed prophecies, all of God's failed promises, from all of the contradictions, from all of the immoral things that the God of the Bible does. Your whole life as a Christian is a rescue mission to rescue this presentation of God. It's the hot potato that you can't let hit the ground, but you can't hold it too long because it's hot. It's hot with falsehoods. It's hot with untruths. It's hot with ahistorical or non-historical things. It's hot with contradictions. It's hot with, and you can't hold it too long, but you also can't let it hit the ground. You've got to keep this thing in the air. And I say this often on this podcast. When I realized that that's what the rest of my life was going to be, my heart checked out way before my head did. My heart checked out and my head was like, maybe we could. And my head checked out too, but I don't know what stayed in the game as long as 2014, something checked out. My heart, my head, something checked out. But I guess my lifestyle, maybe my heart didn't fully check out because I was hoping maybe there's a way that it could still be true. But I didn't have the courage to look. I didn't have the courage to study because I'm like, damn, if I go back and start reading this thing again and I see more stuff, what's that going to mean for me? I had set my entire career up to be doing this for the rest of my life, either overtly or covertly in some form of ministry. And when I realized, oh shit, this is a rescue mission, I'm going to have to spend the rest of my life trying to make this thing seem like it's not as bogus as it is. And when I realized that, I said, yo, not me. Something's got to give. Something's going to have to happen. And at some point, somewhere between 2018, 2019, I think at that point, like I was done. I didn't know how I was going to transition, but I knew this is not going to be me. But either way, I'm talking a whole lot. Let me scroll through the chat, see what y'all are saying in the chat. If you got a question or comment that you want addressed, super chat it. That's the best way for it to catch my attention. And I'm going to do better with checking the Facebook to see if there's any comments on Facebook I need to pay attention to. I probably need to get another monitor so I can have that open too. But I can also just pull it up here. Give me a second. Let me see if I can make it happen some other way. Maybe you can answer this in the chat. What would it take if you're an atheist, if you've gotten that far in your deconstruction, deconversion, what would it take for you to go back to believing, or maybe not go back, maybe like believe in a way you never have, to believe in the God of the Bible? What would it take for you? I'm just curious. How would you answer that question? So somebody on Facebook says, are you talking about the God of the Bible? Christopher Hayes, what's up? Says, are you talking about the God of the Bible? Have you seen The Story of Everything yet? Is that the Stephen Hawking one? If it is, I think I saw it, but I don't remember. This is an interesting quote here. Darrell Williams says, authenticity is the highest form of vibration. Interesting. So, yeah, I'm often looking into things, with just, how our world actually works, right? From atoms and quarks down to the smallest particles. And, everything has energy and everything is moving. Everything is, I guess we could say, vibration. Everything is moving at a certain level. Authenticity is the highest form of vibration there is. I don't know if that's true, but I think authenticity is probably the most rewarding way to live. Like, okay. Yeah, but the line is open. I'll put the link in the chat again. If you're atheist, and you believe in God and you think I should believe in God. Um, I know some of y'all are probably out there like, I don't think you should believe in God. You do believe in God. You know, the Christians who want to tell you, you do believe in God. You're just suppressing the knowledge of God, like Paul says in Romans chapter 1. If you'd like to have that conversation, we could even have that conversation. I'll entertain it. But if you're a theist out there, particularly a Christian theist, but a theist of any kind, and you want to tell me why I should believe in God, um, I would love to talk to you. The line is open. You could be the first caller. Maybe you're praying right now, um, asking God to give you the words, the courage, the boldness. Um, Maybe he will, and maybe you'll call and we'll get to talk. All right. So Shah says, it would take the end of all forms of evils and harms for me to believe in a God. And how would a God accomplish that? Like, because, and maybe this is something that the theist, maybe even the Christian would say, for a God to remove all forms of evil and harm, wouldn't that mean that God would have to take away free will? Don't we need, like, doesn't there need to be consequence? Well, don't we need to have the ability to commit any kind of action? And for those actions to be true actions, they need to have their true consequences. Like, maybe I want to go out there and unalive someone, and God doesn't take my intentions away. He doesn't take my motives away. Maybe God just takes the consequence away. So maybe I go and I unalive someone and God instantly brings the person back. So I never get what I want. Or maybe God, I don't know, because God can stop me from unaliving someone without taking the will away from me. I could have the will to do it and God just never allow me to do it. God could freeze me up so that I want to, I just never. And at some point after me trying for 5 days and I can never do it. And I said, oh, I guess he's not going to let me do it. And I just change so maybe God could, without taking our will away, maybe God could remove all harm. I had a thought one time. I'm like, yo, who needs, like, why does a God need hell? Right? God could do all kinds of things to limit our ill intent. Right? Like, imagine anytime you wanted to do something that was like harmful to somebody else, detrimental to nature, society, whatever. And whenever you thought about doing that, you got a nauseous feeling. Like your head starts spinning, your stomach starts turning. That hungover kind of like, actually, I've never been hungover. But I know that nauseous feeling, or maybe that, you ever get that nasty taste in your mouth where you're just like, oh, I need something sweet. Or imagine if anytime you thought about doing something that would harm somebody else, you got this nasty taste in your mouth, or your stomach started turning, and you got dizzy. And so you had to think. It's not that you can't think those thoughts, but it's just so unpleasant to think them that now you have to think other thoughts. You have to think better thoughts about other people, about yourself. Like, God could have done that and totally avoided the need for eternal conscious torment or torment at all. I mean, it is quite torturous to feel that way, but God could just explain, oh no, I only make you feel that way because you're thinking things that in the grand scheme of things would mess up the world that I made. And so I'm going to make you feel these things just to get you to stop thinking. And then it trains. It's almost like Pavlov's dog, right? You ring the bell every time it's time to give the dog a treat. And at some point, just the ringing the bell makes the dog start salivating because they just think bell means treat. And they start salivating because they know a treat's coming. God could have trained our internal sense of, I feel like I have a right to do X, or I feel like I have the right to do that. God could have trained us so that whenever we got these malicious thoughts, the sickness kicks in. Why wasn't that better than, now I'm going to let all of these consequences, I'm going to let all of these, I'm going to let the domino effects of one sin turning into trillions upon trillions upon trillions of sins, and I'm going to let all that happen and make it so that it's so bad that I got to bloody up a lamb. Matter of fact, I gotta send the second person of the Trinity down to get beaten to a bloody pulp and die on a cross to pay for all these trillions upon trillions per second of sins. Why was that better than, nope, I'm just going to make it very unpleasant for you to think evil thoughts. Before you even go to commit the action, the thought's going to make you nauseous and you're not able. Why wasn't that better? So I'm saying all that just to Shah's comment about, I would believe in a God if all evils and harm were removed. God could do that without removing our will. And that would not violate any principle of humanity or free will. It's just a built-in, like in the same way that when I eat too much and I can't eat another thing, like why? Like, is that messing up my free will? My stomach just can't take anymore. Like if there is a God who knit us together in our mother's womb and made it so that we have appetites, but we also get full, so we don't eat anymore, God could have also made it so that we get instantly full of evil thoughts and we can't even think them anymore without violating our will. Why was that not better? No, I'm gonna let you go ahead and fuck up. I'm gonna let you go ahead and destroy the planet. I'm gonna let you go ahead and sin. I'm gonna let y'all become murderers and rapists and this, that, and the third. I'm gonna let y'all do all of that and not stop it. Why was that better? Because Christians ask me sometimes that, Brady, if you think you're so smart, if you think what would you do that's better than what God did? I would do something like what I just said. Why isn't that better than all the harm that you have to go through on a daily basis? People who suffer from depression and anxiety and trauma and PTSD. Why is that better than God just up front saying, I'm not even going to let it get that far? So that's just me just thinking out loud. Love to know your thoughts on that. But I'm curious, why should I believe in God? Maybe you've got some good reasons. Rather than let me sit here and talk shit about your God, call in and shut me up. Call in and tell me, here's why you're wrong, or here's how it makes more sense to believe in God than what you're talking about, Brady. But I would love to talk to you. Where you at, theist? Where you at, Christian? The link is in the chat. If you're on Facebook, it's the top comment. If you're on Instagram, the link is in my bio. If you are a theist and you think you have reasons as to why I should believe in God, a personal God, an all-wise God, an omnipotent God, a good God, a merciful God, but a just God, why should I believe in this God? Or maybe you don't have an answer. And maybe you realize the only reason that you believe is because this is what was spoon-fed to you. Or maybe you realize that the reason that you believe, you know what's interesting? Theists, especially Christians, and I've seen this with Mormons and Muslims too, when somebody deconverts, you all always pull out the magnifying glass looking for the reason why. Why did they deconvert? He was church hurt. Oh, she wanted to sin. Oh, they fell out with it. Like all of these people come to former Christians and tell us, here, it's never the reasons we say. It's never the theology fell apart. It's never the immorality of the deed. It's always some other thing. But I wonder, as much as you all inspect our reasons for deconverting, do you ever inspect the reasons why you actually believe? And I'm going to come back to that point in a minute, but I do have a caller, so I'll get to the caller now. Caller, just so you know, your camera is on. If you want to turn it off, you can. You don't have to. I prefer to see you, but some people don't want to be seen. And your name is in the chat. If you want to change any of that, you could take a minute to do it. Otherwise, I'm going to bring you into the studio just as you are. Come just as you are. Come just as you are. All right. So I'm going to bring in. Let me scroll the chat real quick to make sure I'm not missing anything. I did ask y'all a question, and maybe some of y'all answered it, and I didn't read your answer. So I just want to look for some of that before the chat gets too long and I can't find you anymore. All right. I know I asked the question and I'm not reading some of y'all's answers, but really when you're going live like this, it's hard sometimes to track answers. Let me see. Yeah, I'm sorry. It would take a lot of time for me to read through it. So because I got a call, I'm gonna go ahead and get to this caller. I'm gonna bring you in now. Welcome to Ichabod. C. Hayes. Welcome to Ichabod.
Yo, what's going on, man?
What's happening? Let me. You're fine. Don't do anything on your end. I need to turn you up in my headphones. Give me 1 second. Okay. C. Hayes, have we spoken before on this platform?
Not on this platform, baby. But I think we engaged on like Facebook right now. Christopher.
Okay. Hold on. Let me put my other headphones in. Is he low to you all too? Because it's kind of low to me. Let me put my other headphone in. Let me know in the chat if he's low to you all.
I'm on my headphone, so that might be the reason. I'm not sure.
If you could put the mic part of it a little closer to you, that might be better.
Let's see.
But I do got both headphones in now, so
Can you hear me?
Better anyway.
Oh,
yep.
You hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
So my unique Monique says he is a bit muffled. Is he better now? And I know you guys are 20 seconds delayed, so we'll see. But I can hear you much better now that I put both my headphones in. Just so everybody knows what we're doing. Can you let us know real quick where you are with the God question? Are you theist, agnostic, atheist? Where you?
No, I'm definitely a theist.
Definitely a theist, and any particular blend of theism? Christian, Islamic, Mormon?
I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian.
Okay, Christian theist. Okay. Yes. My unique Monique says he sounds better, so let's go. So, yo, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to having a conversation. If you can, real quick, the prompt just asked the question, why should I believe in God? And I think you're the same one that asked on Facebook, do I mean God in general or particular God? You asked that question, right?
Yeah, I was saying like the God of the Bible. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, as you know, as a Christian theist, I guess I believe in I don't know, the Abrahamic God or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I believe in that. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't know. I was, for clarification, I was talking about like what God are you talking about?
I got you. So because you do have a specific because you do have a specific God, then I would like to know, and you think that I should believe in that God as well, I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I'm kind of at an odd place. Just to be vulnerable. Because I actually used to be a fan when you were fanatic.
Okay, I got you.
And it was at the point where I was a baby Christian in 2006. And, you know, so the first music away from hip hop, because, you know, when I was an unbeliever, I was really on Outkast, Wu-Tang, all that. And then one of the dudes that discipled me, put me on. The first thing he put me on was, guess who?
Cross Walk.
Yeah,
okay. Cross movement.
Incredible Walk, Cross movement.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm like, oh wow, okay. But I think for you, like, I would love to. You know, I'm at work. I'm about to get off in a few minutes, but I would love to exegete Job like 38 with you, because you know, in Job 38, it was God's response to Job, and like basically tell him like, hey, do you not see me in all these different details in creation? You know what I mean? It's like, that's one passage of scripture I would love to walk through with someone who is on, I guess, the atheist, unbelieving side.
Yeah.
Because I think you should believe in God because of creation itself. Like,
I'm sorry. I lost the last part of what you said. You said you think I should believe in God because what?
Just creation itself, just nature. You know what I mean? Like, I think anything that's created have to have some type of originator, right? Like, even like
hold on. See Hayes.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is, because you're going to say a lot of things, and some of the things that you say deserve to be challenged, like in bite-sized pieces as you say them, because there's certain assumptions built into what you're saying. I would agree with you right off the bat. Anything that is created has to have a creator. But here's the thing that I don't think you realize what you're doing. You're smuggling into the situation the solution that you want me to have. Anything that is created by definition has to have a creator. The question is, why should I think that the world, the universe was created?
Okay, so like, so can I respond back?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So if you look at the universe, all these planets, right? These stars, quasars, all this stuff, right? Let me can I see your perspective? Because I can see my perspective.
Sure.
My perspective is something had to create that. Like, something supernaturally had to create that. And I believe that God created that. What do you believe? Like, you believe there's just some particle? What created all these planets, these quasars, these stars, all these things that's in our world, our universe? To you, because I believe in Genesis 1. I mean, I guess you don't. To you, what's the opposite of Genesis 1? What's the opposite of God creating?
Yeah. So here's the thing that, so like I said, there's a lot going on in what you just said. I'm trying to take it in chunks. When you say something had to create that, that's a claim. And you would need to demonstrate why something had to create that. Like you would have to show that there was once nothing and then there was something. But if you can't show that there was once nothing, then you can't make the claim that something had to create that. Because what you're really saying is, oh, it looks like if I can't show that there was ever nothing, then it looks like something always was. So what we're talking about is not necessarily a creation. What we're really talking about is a transformation. Why did something that always was transform into other things that now are? But it looks like it's the same energy and the same matter that always was. So until you show me that there was once nothing, I have no reason to accept that something had to create that. What I do end up having to say is, okay, then how did the something that may have always been, how did it transition from what it once was into what it is now? So now what you're talking about is, how is matter and energy exchanging and changing the way that it's existing? And then you start getting into the laws of physics and all of that. So that's one side of it, is you'd have to demonstrate that there was once nothing in order to say something had to create what is. The other side of it is Genesis 1 doesn't even get you where you think it gets you, because many people are, because of the way our Bibles have come to us, Genesis 1:1 is not translated correctly in most Bibles. Some English Bibles do translate it the way that the verse really should go. But depending on the Bible that you read, you're either going to see, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, meaning he did it on the spot. It didn't exist, and now it exists. There was nothing but God, and then God made something. Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But that's not really how Genesis 1:1 goes. Genesis 1:1 really goes several ways you could take it. In the beginning of God's creating the heavens and the earth was without form and void, which means the earth was already there. This is telling you the heavens and the earth pre-existed. We're just talking about how God began to fashion it, not how God created it ex nihilo, meaning out of nothing. So I can show you the Bible verses. I write about this in Let There Be Gaslight. The Bible versions that actually translate it that way. When God began to create, or in the beginning of God's creating the heavens and the earth was without form and void. It was there already. This is just the story of how when God began to separate it and form it for different functions. So even the Bible, if you take Genesis 1:1 a certain way, it's not going to get you to a time when there was nothing but God. Genesis 1:1 is God and an undistinguished, undifferentiated heavens and earth. Uh-oh, I lost C. Hayes. Are you still there? I hear you, but the camera just went out, so it's all good.
Somebody just called me.
Okay.
All right, my bad.
So I don't know if you were tracking with everything. I know I said a lot, so I apologize for that. But so I said two things. So to sum it up real quick. If you can't demonstrate that there was ever nothing, then I don't think you can make the statement something had to create the galaxies and stars and planets. That's one. And then two, Genesis 1:1 doesn't show us in the beginning there was nothing and then God made it. This is the story of how in the beginning God began to separate the heavens and the earth and give them the individual unique functions. I said a lot. You got the floor.
No, it's all good. I mean, I'm trying to process everything you said. Like, honestly speaking, I cannot prove that there was nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I can only go off of what I know. You know, I've been on this earth for 41 years. I have not been on this earth for 500 million years. I don't know anything past 1984. Okay, so I'm not gonna be able to do that. Now, if somebody else smarter than me can articulate, hey, yeah, but all I know is what I know. I believe what the Bible says. Now we can get into the crinks and the details of it. I can't do that now. I'm at work.
Gotcha.
At a school. I don't have my Bible with me. I don't have my I don't have my interlinear Bible with the Hebrew, the original language. So maybe when I'm back at my office, we can get through that. Like, I would love to have a conversation with you again, because this is kind of just off the fly.
All good.
But what I can say is just looking at the laws of just creation, or like, I just believe that something had to. I don't believe that like a single particle, or like, I know they talk about the, what's it called, what's the name of the big oh my gosh,
Big Bang?
The Big Bang Theory, right? Like, I just believe there had to be a creator of this. Like, everything that we see, just hear me out. Like, for example, I just ate I'm down here in New Orleans. Okay. I just ate a beignet. It was delicious. Some chef had to create that beignet. Like, I can't, like, I wish I could just snap my fingers and another beignet would just appear in my hands. I can't do that. Like, I have to get some dough, get some flour, get some yeast or whatever, put it together and do all that, fix the right glaze to go on it, put in the oven, all that stuff. Like, you can't just make something snap like that. I believe, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I believe there had to be, and that's why I asked you in the chat.
But
like,
once again,
go ahead.
Well, once again, what you're arguing is something can't come from nothing. That's what you're saying. And I'm not saying something did come from nothing. I'm saying I have no reason to think that there was ever nothing. So I think you could spend some time thinking through, okay, then what should my argument be then? If Brady's not saying, and most atheists, I don't know an atheist who thinks something.
So hold on,
anything
came from. Can you rewind that? Like, so what is your view? So can I get this right from my head? Yeah. You're saying that, okay, so I'm saying that there's something had to create something, right? You're saying that, say what you're saying.
I'll sum it up for you. You're saying something had to create everything that is.
Yes.
And I'm saying the only reason why something would have to create everything that is if nothing existed. But if nothing existed, then there's nothing there to create everything. You solved that by saying, oh, then it must have been God who was always there to create everything when there was nothing. And I'm saying, what if there was never nothing? If there was never nothing, then you don't have the problem that God solves if there was always something.
Okay. You're saying there was never nothing?
Problem. Right. God is the solution to a problem. How do you get something from nothing? Oh, there must have been a God. But if there was never nothing, then there's no problem for God to solve.
So you're saying that there was never nothing?
There was never nothing. And once again, you got two different arguments because you go from that to Genesis 1:1. You really need to spend some time looking at Genesis 1:1 outside of the way certain versions of the Bible present it, because even Genesis 1:1 doesn't present it as there was nothing and then God made it. Genesis 1:1 is the story about how God begins to separate what already exists. So even the Bible doesn't have a beginning where there is nothing but God. Anybody who's watching, I can give you the Bible versions that actually read that way. It would be
okay. So do you have your? I don't even have my Bible in front of me. Like, okay, when I believe that Moses wrote Genesis, right? That's what they say. Okay. So maybe he didn't. Who knows? Maybe Yoda wrote Genesis for all we know. We don't know. So, but I believe that Moses wrote Genesis. The first verse, like in the beginning, I'm sorry. I'm even trying to pull it up, but can you give me a second?
I'm looking for the versions. I have it here in my book. I'm trying to find the part in my book where I talk about we're both looking up something right now. If anybody who's watching, like, no, we're not frozen. We're looking up references.
But while you look it up, like, so your argument is a little confusing.
Okay.
You're saying that there was never nothing, right?
Something always existed in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
As energy or matter, something always existed. I don't need anything supernatural because I think the natural world always existed in some form or fashion.
And so if the natural world existed, right? So you believe that the natural world existed for, I don't know, eons, billions of years.
If there was never nothing, if there was never nothing, I can't put a timeline on it. It's not billions of years. Something, as long as there's ever been something, like there is no before something, like it's something always existed. We know time in our instantiation of space-time going in one direction, but we don't know anything about what happened before the Big Bang. We have no idea what time was like, what matter was like, what energy was like before the Big Bang. We cannot see past that point, but we've got no reason to think nothing existed before the Big Bang.
But here's my thing though, Brady, like, like I believe in, I think that's why the Bible, like, I know you might not believe in the Bible, but the Bible says, great is the mystery of godliness, right? Like God, to me, God sits time and space. So it's like
you said God sits outside of time and space. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I do. So like he was always here. Like in our human minds, we can't really wrap our heads around it. And I think that's a problem for a lot of people. Like they try to wrap their heads around it. And when you try to wrap your head around it, it ain't no wrapping your head around it. And so it's like, for some people, it's like for me, I just believe. A lot of people's like, okay, I have to question that belief because I can't understand it. And that's why the Bible says, lean not to your own understanding. Because if we try to understand this, it's not going to make sense to us. Like, so wait a minute, like, hold on. All of space. Like I'm a stargazer. I like to look at stars, right? I'm also a fisherman, a recreational fisherman. So I look at the moon phases and all that stuff because if you fish, like there's certain moon phases where the fish bite the most. So you gotta like before you go fishing, you gotta look, okay, are they gonna bite in the morning? Or are they gonna bite in the evening? Is it gonna be an afternoon bite? Because really it's calculated by the moon phases. With all those details, it's like it had to be there had to be some type of creator. Like for all these, like you might call me crazy. I love tigers. That's my favorite animal. And the reason I love tigers so much because to me, tigers are proof that there has to be a God. Like every tiger have a different, like think about it. If you look at tigers, every tiger have like their own pattern. Like I don't think Adam or like I don't think Adam could do that. Like, and that's why I say I would love to
see Hayes. Have you ever looked? We can do that. Have you ever looked into evolution from a scientist who accepts evolution, whether they're Christian or not? Have you ever looked into evolution?
I have not. I'm open to doing it just to see, and that's why
I would challenge you. I would challenge you because it's sort of. I can understand why you.
I'm about to transition.
Okay.
I'm about to get off work, so I'm gonna. I'm still gonna be on this. I'm just gonna take me off the camera.
Got you.
So I can still hear you.
Okay. I would challenge you to look into evolution and just understand or try to understand what we now know about how genetics works from one generation to the next, how gene expression happens, how certain traits are expressed and selected for, how populations change. Once you understand some of the mechanisms behind that, it doesn't make it any less amazing, but it does make it a little less, there has to have been a designer or there has to have been a God. I think not understanding some of those things makes it so that, gee golly, how else could this have happened unless God was in the tiger mom's womb painting the stripes on the embryo? Like, if you don't understand some of the scientific things that we've discovered over the last 100 years, matter of fact, the last.
But who created that science, though, is a. But who created that science is a question.
So hold on.
But hear me out real quick.
When you say who created the science, what you're and trust me, I was there, bro. I know where you when you say who created the science, what you're basically saying is, did people that have an ungodly or a godless agenda create the science? That's sort of what you're saying, right?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not even going against the whole evolution theory or whatever. But what I'm saying is, but my thing is, okay, I understand about the genetics and all that stuff. Hey, I'm a teacher. I had to take a science test to have my job. So I've studied all that, like the different genes and the chromosomes and all that good stuff. But my whole thing is, okay, who created all that? Like who created genetic makeup who created
Yeah,
like ethnicities and all that stuff. Like there have
you're
to be.
stuck in
I
a
don't.
paradigm. You're stuck in a paradigm that tells you there has to have been a creator, as opposed to coming to the issue with a question. Can I demonstrate that there was a creator, or why should I think that there was a creator? Or I often say this on this podcast, we always talk about the need for the supernatural, when really what we might be looking at is, oh, maybe nature is just a little more super than we've been giving it credit for. Your mind says there has to have been a creator. You're coming to the situation with a claim as opposed to coming to the situation with a question. How can I demonstrate, or can I prove, or why should I think there has to have been a creator? You're in a paradigm that you it's challenging, to step outside of your paradigm and say, what if I try to look at this another way? And don't answer the question right away. Just ask the question, is there another way to look at this? And then see where the evidence leads.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, my bad, man. I was talking to somebody else.
Okay.
But I'm well. Here's my thing. Like I said, I could have this conversation because I'm a country boy. I love to be out in nature. I love science, and I think with me, nature is where I find God because it's like people can be goofy at times. I I love to just like I said, I'm down here in New Orleans. I love to just sit on the lake, fish, and talk with God. And in that, I can see with the different wonders, oh man, God had to create this. Like for example, the other day I had some old shrimp and there was some crows coming down eating my old shrimp. Like I'm not gonna say, oh man, that was coincidence. I'm gonna say, oh man, what's going on, man? I'm gonna say, oh man, I'm being used by God to feed the crows. But like a scientist might say, you know what I mean? Like I purposely put God in
Yeah.
everything because you know what I mean. Like it's like,
But do you have to?
but
Like
and
when you
I
say there has to be a God, there has to be a this. You can put God in everything if you want. I can go back to putting God's the reason why I have my house. God's the reason why. But what if Nahweh is my God? Could Nahweh be the God that gave me my house and gave
who
me my car and gave me Nahweh, the God up above my head, the talking cloud?
you said could Yahweh be your God?
Could Nahweh have been the one that gave me, just like you believe God used you to feed the crows? Could Nahweh be the one that's leading me to do this podcast? Could my God
I
be
mean,
just
if
as real
that's
as your God?
if that's your reality, I'm not going to question that. I'm not going to challenge that. I mean, I
Right. But me
he-
wanting Nahweh to be my God doesn't make him God, right?
right,
Does you
but
wanting your God to be the reason that the crows got fed make it so?
I don't think it's really me a wanting to I here's my thing. Like
Hmm.
for one, I'm not going to push my beliefs on other people. You know, and
You're
two,
supposed to, as a Christian,
you say you're supposed to.
go into all the world, baptizing and teaching all men to observe everything that I taught you.
Hmm.
That's your mission as a Christian. It's the Great Commission.
I mean, I can lead people to water, but I can't make them drink it. I mean, and my job, yes, I'm going to preach the gospel and all those good things, but in this conversation, um, I think it's like with you, it's like for example, if me and you are together, right, and we're stargazing, we I don't know you from Adam, you don't know me from Adam, and I might not even know that you're an atheist, right? Well, how would you
Hmm.
describe yourself?
Atheist.
You're atheist, right? But me and
Hmm.
you are looking at the stars, right? And I'm looking at the stars like, man, that is a beautiful creation from God. What are you going to say? You're going to say, oh, well,
I'm going to say the universe is amazing. I'm going to say nature is marvelous. I'm going to say this is awe-inspiring. I'm going to say, guess what? All the elements that are in our bodies, every atom came from an exploding star. We're part of all of this. Isn't that amazing? That's what I'm going to say.
So because I give the credit to God, like you believe that's an issue? So if I say, oh man,
I'm going to say, can you demonstrate? I'm going to say, can you demonstrate what you're saying? Because until you can demonstrate it, it's claims, it's not facts. We can demonstrate that planets come from what amasses around stars that have exploded, and the gravitational pull that gets this accretion disk around it, and before you know it, things begin to cool and condense, and we can demonstrate where planets come from. So I'm not talking claims, I'm talking facts. If you say, no, this is all God, you're talking claims. And I'm going to look at you and say, okay, see, I hear you, but those are claims. How do I know that that's facts?
But I mean, I can get that from the Bible that he created the stars. You know what I'm saying? So like,
but once again, even in the Bible, it's claims, right? The Bible is claims. How do you know the Bible's claims are facts?
Okay, so if I say, oh man, this was created. So if I say these stars that me and you, we're out here together. I don't know. We're somewhere in Philly looking at stars or wherever you're at right now. So me saying, hey, those stars was created by God. And then you say those stars was created by the universe or whatever the case may be, right? How can you tell me, like, how can you prove to me that those stars was created by the universe? Because I'm going to say, because you're going to say, hey, Chris, those stars was created by the universe. I'm going to say, well, guess who created the universe? God. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but hold on, Chris.
So we're going to end up going around in circles.
No, we're not. You might go around in circles. I won't, because what I'll tell you is, hey, guess what? According to your Bible, you know where those stars are? Those stars are on the inside of a dome that's covering a flat earth. So if you tell me that your God created those stars and those stars are on the inside of a solid dome covering a flat earth, you're already wrong in so many ways. So why should I take, if you're wrong about where the stars are according to your Bible and what the earth is like according to the Bible, why should I say you could be wrong about that, but I'm also going to accept your God claim? Your God's wrong about the location of the stars. Your God's wrong about how the formation of the earth, what's happening in the heavens, but he could be wrong about all that, but be right about he's the one who made those stars.
So wait a minute, where did he say, okay, do you have your Bible with you? Like I said, I'm driving in my car. I don't have scripture, I don't have nothing with me.
Yeah, I got my phone.
Where does it say that you said this, what's your claim? You said the stars is where?
The Bible says that God made the stars and placed them on the face of the Rakia. The face of the Rakia, on the inside of the dome that's covering the earth.
What scripture is that?
That's Genesis, I think, 6 to 8, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry, Genesis chapter 1, verses 6 to 8.
Okay.
Let me make sure that I got the right verses. I know that's the right chapter, but I don't know if that's the right verses. But for the sake of conversation, just give the benefit of the doubt. If that's what the Bible teaches, do you think it's wise for me to say, oh, your God can be wrong about all that, but I'm still going to praise him as the one who created those stars? If the Bible does teach that, maybe it doesn't, but if it does, would it be wise for me to accept the Bible can be wrong about the location of the stars and the formulation of the earth, but right about the God that made those stars?
Well, I mean, I would have to look, honestly speaking, I would literally have to look at the scriptures.
No, you don't.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you don't. You don't have to look at the scriptures. We will, but I'm saying give me the benefit of the doubt. If that's what the Bible teaches, would it be wise for me to accept it could be wrong about that, but be right about the God who made all of that?
But I mean, from my perspective, honestly,
yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to say that the Bible is wrong about anything, because I believe that the Bible, the Bible is. I'm just saying, I'm just keeping a buck with you. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. You can call me a fool, call me whatever. I believe that the Bible is infallible. Like I believe that it's flawless because
Mm-hmm.
it was, inspired by the Spirit of God. Like I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say there's anything wrong about the Bible. But now that's just me. You can call me whatever you want to call me.
Mm-hmm.
If the shoe fits, I'll wear it. But I'm not gonna say that anything in the Bible is flawless. That's why I would have to say that I
Gotcha.
would have to look at that particular scripture on my own
So
to
when you
see,
get a
okay, what's the
chance,
context, and if there's
yeah.
other scriptures that say the opposite. You see what I'm saying? Like I mean, you gotta
So
you gotta
wait,
show me that.
Chris,
Go ahead.
are you saying even if the Bible does say this, you would also look to see if there are other scriptures that say the opposite, and then you would look at the
Not
contradiction
even the opposite. Not
and
even the opposite. Like because I believe that the Bible. I don't believe that there's any contradictions in scripture. So like
okay.
if there is a contradiction, what happens is a lot of people is you have you probably misinterpreted something. So like I would have to look at the scriptures. I would have to look at the Bible on my
Chris,
own.
I call that
Go
blame
ahead.
the victim. Blame the victim is the Bible really does say it, but it's your fault for interpreting it literally or thinking it's historical. You should have taken it metaphorically. You should have taken it polemically. It's your fault, reader. It's never God's fault for being a poor communicator. It's your fault for interpreting it, for looking at what it says and thinking it meant what it said. So when you get a chance, look at Genesis chapters 1, verses 6 through 8. Verses 6 through 8 talks about what some Bible versions call the expanse. Some Bible versions call it the firmament. Some versions say the dome, but the word in Hebrew is rakia. So look at Genesis chapter 1, verses 6 through 8, and then go down and look at Genesis chapter 1, verses 14 through 18, where you have God putting the stars, the sun, the moon, and the stars on the face or on the inside of the dome of the rakia. And that's where they thought the stars were. So if we're out
Okay.
stargazing, you say, oh, look at those stars. I think God made that. I'm going to ask you, and do you also agree that God put the stars on the inside of a solid dome? Because if you do, I'm not just going to I'm not just going to reject your I think God made that claim. I'm rejecting all of it because the way that you say your God did this, it's almost like if you said, yo, I built this electric car here. I said, yo, you built an electric car? I was like, you said, yeah. I said, how'd you build it? He said, well, first I made the fuel system. I said, wait, what fuel? It's an electric car. Well, no, listen, I made the fuel system. I made the gas tank. I made I made the combustion engine. I made the da-da-da-da. And you start explaining to me a gas-powered car. But you want me to believe you made an electric-powered car, and you're pointing to and explaining a gas-powered car. Not only do I not think you didn't make the gas-powered car, I think you don't know what you're talking about. In the same way, when the Bible explains how God did X, Y, and Z, not only do I think it doesn't know what it's talking about, it's proof that whoever's claiming that they did this, they are not the authors or the architect. So even if you look at the stars and think it had to have been created by somebody, it's not the God of the Bible, because he cannot tell us how all this stuff got here, because the way he tells us it got here is wrong.
Okay. First of all, can we rewind? You said you keep talking about the dome, that God placed these stars in a dome. What specific scripture do you say that from? You probably already said it, but like I said, I'm driving.
All good.
Go
I know
ahead.
you're driving. Yeah. Genesis chapter 1, verses 6 through 8 is about the dome. The Hebrew word is rakia. Your Bible's not going to say dome unless you're reading maybe King James or something. Your Bible's probably going to call it an expanse or a firmament, or a vault or something like that. And then Genesis chapter 1, verses 14 through 18 is going to talk about God putting the stars on the inside of that dome.
Okay. I would love to, I mean, that's a good challenge. I think, you know what I mean? That can make me think. But I would have to look at that. You know what I mean? Like I would have to kind of study that on my own. But
and if you ever care to, I wrote a whole book about it. Chapter 3 of Let There Be Gaslight goes through some of this, not all of it. Chapter 3 goes through some of it, and chapter 8 goes through Genesis chapters 1 verses.
It's on Kindle.
1 through. It's on Kindle. It's available audio version and all of that.
Okay. I'm a copy
All right.
just to see your perspective.
Yep, I appreciate that. And I would love to go through Job chapter 38 with you. Maybe next time we talk, we can do that.
All right, that's cool, bro.
Yeah. But I appreciate the call, man. I appreciate you being open-minded enough just to hear me. And I mean, I want to hear you too. I look forward to chopping it up with you on Facebook or back here.
All right, yeah, like I said, I engage with you a lot on Facebook.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I'm not mad at you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even though, like I said before, I was a bit confused with your deconversion. It's
Yeah.
I put it like this, since we're on live. I felt like a fan of Ice Cube finding out that Cube was never from LA. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like,
you know, he was never a gangster, right?
But you gotta understand, like, I started listening to you and Cross Movement and you know, Ambassador and all that. Like, I was a baby Christian. You know what I mean? I was small. Like, I mean, you know, I was immature in my faith, and but I was rocking y'all. And you know, it was like, when I heard that, you know, you step away from the faith, I'm like, Fanatic?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I know Fanatic.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's your journey, you know what I mean? So like, I don't hate you. I like the fact that you are still engaging with us, with theists. But I just pray that, you know, you'll have an open mind. We'll have an open mind. Like I said,
wait. I don't let people tell me what you pray. You talk to God about that. I don't need to know what you pray about.
Okay,
that's well, you and God.
Well, I'm not going. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pray for you.
No, you can pray if you want. I just don't need to know what you're praying for.
I got you. I got
you. To do with that.
But no, but I mean, I think I like the engagement. As long as we can keep it civil, you know what I mean. It's all good.
Yeah. Hey, much love to you, bro. Call back and we'll kick it. Much love to you.
All right. Peace.
All right. Just in case anybody say, oh, see, that must be the devil because he didn't want him praying. It's not that. I just don't like people telling me what they're praying for, because I see the manipulation in that. When people start telling you what they're praying for you about, that's just them trying to get their spiritual lingo in your head. And I'm not going to be a sitting duck for that kind of manipulation. If your God is powerful, you can talk to your God and he'll do whatever you're asking him to do, or he won't. I don't need to hear it so that I can go around thinking, man, is this God? Is this the prayer being answered? Is God now penetrating my heart and da-da-da-da? Like, no, we're not going to do those mind games. Not that Chris was trying to play mind games. I think a lot of times Christians don't realize that's what you're doing when you go to someone else and tell them, I'm praying that God would soften your heart and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You're saying that because I think subconsciously, you know how powerless your prayers are. And if you don't tell the person what you're praying, you know, they'll never have any idea that this is what you want to happen. And so you try to get the ball rolling by saying it to them so that maybe in their subconscious, they'll start softening their own heart. And then you'll go back and you'll give your God credit for it if it ever happens. I'm not going to be party to those kind of games. You pray. If your God's powerful, let's see what he does. I've had thousands of Christians praying for me since 2022 when I came out as an unbeliever. Your God has not done a single thing to me yet. Not in my heart, not in my mind, not in my life. Maybe he's setting up the dominoes to all fall one day. Who knows? But as far as I can tell, nada. And so anyway, that's where I'm at with that. But yeah, if you call in, I'm not going to try to embarrass you. I'm not going to call you out for not knowing something. I'm not going to curse you out. The conversation is going to be civil. One of the reasons why I wrote my book, and one of the reasons why I do what I do on Facebook, and one of the reasons why I have this podcast is I want to help Christians have better conversations with atheists so that you don't get into a conversation with atheists and say the dumb thing that Christians say. Oh, you think everything came from nothing? Like if you think something came from nothing, you live by more faith than I live by. No atheist thinks that. And if they do, they're not a thinking atheist. But I want to help you all have better conversations with people like me. So if for no other reason, Christian, you should engage on my Facebook. You should read my book. You should call into this podcast just to practice and learn to have better conversations with atheists, with unbelievers, with former Christians. All the stuff that I was talking about in that call, you can read, not all of it, most of that you can read in my book, Let There Be Gaslight, available on Amazon, audio version, digital, hard copy, and all that. But the line is open. If you're atheist, particularly a Christian, I am here. The link is in the chat. It's the top comment on Facebook. It is in my Instagram, in the bio. If you're a theist, particularly a Christian, I would love to hear from you. Why should I believe in God? Why should I believe in your God? Why should anybody believe in your God? Or maybe you want to just represent, why do you believe in your God? And if you're okay, if you're open to being challenged, like, because maybe you've got what you think are good reasons, I might just want to ask you, have you ever considered this? Because maybe your reason isn't as strong. Maybe there are better reasons, and maybe you need to go get them, because maybe the reason that you have is too susceptible to some of the challenges that I would bring up. So why should I believe? Why should anybody believe in God? Why should we believe in your God? And why do you? The line is open. Feel free to call in. I am going to peruse and scroll up in the chat to see if there's anything that stands out comment-wise. I hope I'm saying the name right. Arendelle says, I'll pray for you towards a non-believer is so passive-aggressive. It's passive-aggressive, and it's also condescending, because you think I need or want what you have, and I don't. I don't want it, and I don't think I need it, but you think you've got something that I need. Now, granted, I think I've got something that you need, and I'm not being condescending. I think I'm dragging you kicking and screaming into reason, into logic, and I can demonstrate the things that I'm saying. So the reason why I don't think what I'm doing is manipulative at all is because I'm not trying to get you to use faith. I'm not trying to get you to believe something. I'm trying to get you to accept the things that we can know about our reality. And I just think that kind of living, that kind of life, that kind of worldview, atheism is not a worldview. That's not my worldview. Atheism is only my answer to one specific question. Are there gods? My answer, I'm atheist. I don't believe that there are. It's not a worldview. My worldview, though, does begin to build when I say, okay, what are the things that we can know? What are the things that can be demonstrated? And let me build my worldview on those things. So methodologically, I am a naturalist. And I also flirt with philosophical naturalism. I don't think that there are things that are not in some way, shape, or form physical. Even energy is something that can be transferred into something that is material, because we now know E equals MC squared. There's some sort of relation between matter and energy. And until we learn of things that are beyond that, I've got no good reason to think that those things are things that are not just maybe in here somewhere. Concepts. And I think God is a concept. Does God exist as a concept? For sure. In reality, until you demonstrate it, and if your only demonstration is, well, look at the trees, look at nature. If nature is your only proof of God, you haven't pointed to God, you've pointed to nature. Show me God. Well, look at what is. Okay, I'm looking. You've only pointed to nature. You've not pointed to God. You can't point to nature and say, that's proof of God. Show me God. Because if you can't, then maybe all that supernatural stuff that you're talking about, maybe all that super is actually in the nature. And we just have to discover, how does it work? Well, in the meantime, once again, giving a shout out to Patreon supporters. Definitely appreciate everybody that's rocking with the channel. Everybody whose name is on the screen, your name is definitely in my heart. Thank you for supporting Ichabod. Got some great stuff coming up. I did say this month we're going to start going through a book together. The book is from Anthony Flew. The book is called There Is a God. He was an atheist, and a little bit before he died, he wrote a book called There Is a God. I'm going to put the date. It will probably be somewhere in the third week of this month. It'll be for Patreon supporters. We're going to get together and discuss at least chapters 1 and 2, but I'll put that information in Patreon for Patreon supporters. The link to join Patreon, if you're not a Patreon supporter, is in the description of the video. You can also find it floating throughout the chat here. Thank you for the super chat. No says, wow, look at the sill. The creator is amazing. Wow, look at the sea spider partially consume its prey and leave it alive and suffering. The creator is a sicko. You get both or neither. That's a great point. That's a great point. You get both or neither. First of all, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. But if you're going to praise God for nature, if you're going to praise God for the tiger's stripes, you've also got to praise God for the tiger's ferociousness and ripping apart the deer. Praise God. Me no says you get both or neither. Think about it. Think about it. Yeah. So the line is open. If you are a theist and you want to call in and tell us why we should believe in your God, or maybe why we should believe in at least a God, I'm open to hearing from you. The link is in the chat. It is the top comments in the chat. If you can't find it, just scroll all the way up in the live chat. If you're on Facebook, it's the top comment or the pinned comment there. If you're watching this on Instagram, the link is in my bio. I'm on here doing these live call-ins Monday and Tuesday. I try to get on around 3:30, but typically I get on around 4, no later than 4. Sometimes a little later than 4. Mondays and Tuesdays, I'll try to go to at least 6, maybe 7 if the calls are jumping. And then Thursday nights, I try to do live shows, but typically I'm doing Life After Faith or maybe having a special guest on Thursday evenings. And this Thursday, I definitely would love for you guys to come through Thursday. Got a special guest coming through to talk about her life after faith, her journey to faith, her journey out of faith. And we're going to get into all kinds of things that led her to walk away from what she thought was life. Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. At least it's rumored that that's what he said. We thought Jesus was life. Well, guess what? We left Jesus and we still have life. I had a caller last week that says, yeah, but you don't have the kind of life that I have. I've got life in Christ. And I asked him, what do you have in your life in Christ what kind of life do you have that I don't have? If you as a Christian think you've got a life that I don't have, now, not the next life, because I got to give it to you. Your hope in the next life is something I don't have. But if all you have over me is a hope in the next life, guess what? Here and now, we've got the same life. So all this, I got life and life more abundantly. You don't have a single aspect of life, this life, that I don't have. You've got a hope in another life. And I'll admit, I don't have that. There's even a small part of me that would love to see me continue after death. I don't think we do. I think this life is it. There are even some people who you've probably deconstructed, and maybe you still have the hope that your energy is going to continue on. But guess what? I'm sorry to have to say this. Even your thought of your energy is a non-scientific idea. There is no such thing as your energy. You're using energy to maintain the identity that you have right now. But guess what? The energy that you have right now at 35 years old is not the energy that you had when you were 20. The energy that you're going to have when you're 47 is not the energy that you have now. Matter of fact, don't eat for 48 hours. Guess what? You're losing energy, and you're going to need to get more food from other things that were alive to give yourself more energy. There is no such thing as your energy. You are constantly replacing the energy that you're using. What you're doing is you're confusing two things. You're confusing the energy that you've been using since you've been alive and the energy that you have to keep getting from different sources. You're confusing that ongoing transfer of energy with your sustained identity because of the way that your brain is configured. And you think that the energy that you're getting and using is your identity. And so your hope is that when you die, your energy will continue. No, when you die, your cells have lost the ability to process energy. And your identity, if it's going to be sustained, will have to be sustained by something else, not energy anymore, because you've lost the ability to use energy. So we really have to think about what we're saying when we think about this life, theist and non-theist. I know I just said a lot. Some of y'all want to probably mark that part of the video and go back and watch that again. But yeah, if you're out there and you want to call in, the line is free. The link is top comment in the chat. Or maybe you disagree with something that I've said so far, and you want to talk about that. I have a little leeway to maybe talk about some of that. I shall win said that was deep. Sometimes the conversations can get a little deep, but this is life. We're trying to make sense of the life that we have here and now. That's all we're trying to do. And we're trying to help each other by holding each other's feet to the proverbial fire of, we can't demonstrate what you're saying. And actually the opposite of what you're saying has been demonstrated. Let's get our thoughts closer to the things that we're able to demonstrate. That's where we are. That's where we are. Asha Wynn says, I'm clipping that. Trust me, as I was saying, I said, yo, that's a good clip. I got a lot of stuff I'm gonna be clipping soon. One thing I haven't done with this channel is, made shorts from all this long form comment, but definitely I'll be clipping some stuff up. Theist, if you're out there, this is your chance to call in. Let's kick it. Come, let us reason together. And maybe if you're a atheist or agnostic and you're like, hey, nobody's calling, maybe I can jump in real quick. Maybe you want to tap in and just speak on something that's been said already. We can take a few minutes to do that while we wait for the Christians to get the green light from God to call in. I know how it is sometimes. You're sitting there saying, should I call? God, that unctioning that I'm feeling, that nervousness, is that you, God, trying to get me to call in there? I know what you're going through. I was there. I was you. I had those thoughts, those feelings, those urges, and I thought it was the Spirit of God because I didn't understand physiology. I didn't understand the nervousness or the butterflies that happen in the stomach. And so I thought that's the Spirit of God unctioning me. I get it, yo. I get it. I was there. I'm not trying to be mean. If you see me on Facebook like Brady's a meanie, I'm never trying to be mean. I'm only trying to get us to think, because we got to live here together. And if I got to live here with you and you're thinking about things that are non-reality, trying to get me to live according to your non-reality, that shit sucks. Like, I want us all to look at reality and do the best we can living according to what we know. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Noon, what's going on? Good to see you. Somebody just said something in the chat that I wanted to highlight. What was it? I just saw something. Let me see. Humans have been alive for a couple thousand years. Da, 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 da. I lost it. I saw something. I know I saw something. Oh, somebody mentioned the albums on the wall, Beastie Boys and Lauryn Hill, but I can't find that comment anymore. Stuff gets lost unless it was deleted. Stuff gets lost in the chat sometimes. Yeah, my goal was to fill the whole wall up with album covers or change them out from time to time. But once I got going, I just sort of forgot about it. Now it's just background. But yeah, Beastie Boys was the first rap album I ever heard. EPMD was the second. So there's some years in between those two. I was a shorty back in the day, so I didn't buy them. I found the EPMD tape on the ground actually. So one side of the tape was EPMD, the other side was Big Daddy Kane's Long Live the Kane. So you can imagine how that just lit my fire. I'm supposed to be going to see Michael Jackson this Saturday. The Michael movie. Has anybody seen it? No spoiler alerts, please. Was it dope? Anybody out there feel like you can't watch it because of the allegations? How y'all feel about Michael? I'm just gonna be honest. I feel like okay, so Michael was amazing. Okay, I synced it. No Michael Jackson jokes, please. Yeah, it was phenomenal. I'm looking forward. I might go see it twice, actually. I may go see it. Supposed to be going on a date Saturday, taking a woman to go see it. And I may go back and see it with my mother or for Mother's Day on Sunday. So I might double dip. It was great. Okay, yeah, good stuff. I'm looking forward to it. Y'all got good Michael Jackson jokes. So nobody's saying, no, I can't go see it because of the allegations. We're not even going to go into the allegations. Definitely worth double dipping. Okay, cool. I'm there. Yeah, see, that's what I thought the allegations was bullshit too. I thought that people like recanted and said, you know, my parents made me say that for money. But I always talk about this on this platform, like the mere fact that we live in a world where claims can ruin people's lives. That's one of the most regrettable aspects of our reality is like, I mean, think about the stories we've created. When Pinocchio lies, his nose grow. Like, God could have done, if there was a God, you could have done us so many favors by making it so like, yo, what? Somebody lies, like their teeth turn blue or some shit. Like there could have, just imagine how God could have safeguarded us from the things that we're just sitting ducks for because we've got no way of knowing if a person's telling the truth. A God who claims to care about truth, to be truth, to want to be worshiped in spirit and truth, has made it impossible for us to know when someone's telling the truth. Like, what kind of sense does that make? It makes no sense at all. But this is where we are. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get off on all that. Now, see, I don't know about this one. God could also make it so that people do not, God could also make it so that people not want to do terrible things. Can God do that without messing with our will? Like the solutions I came up with earlier are you still have the will to want the things, it just costs you comfort to want them. If God makes it so that we can't even want to do, things that are harmful, is that messing with our will? But when you think about it, all throughout the Bible, God is fucking with people's will. So it's like, okay, he's doing those things. Maybe he could do this as well. But I do have a caller in the queue. Caller, just so you know, your camera is not on. If you want it to be on, you can do that. And your name is visible. If you don't want it visible, you can change that. I'll give you a few seconds to make any alterations you want, and then I'll bring you into the studio. All right, please welcome, probably back to Ichabod. I talked to events last week. and I thought it was a different Vince. So this might either be the Vince I thought it was, the Vince I talked to last week, or a whole new Vince. So we'll see if it's Vince and if Vince can convince me.
Me?
All right. I definitely can.
Hey, how's it going, man?
You're the Vince I talked to last week, am I right?
Yeah, it was a week or maybe two ago. I called in, yeah.
A week or two ago. And just help us remember, Vince, you are a theist, right? And a Christian, correct?
No, I'm an atheist now. I'm a former Christian.
Okay, and
correct, atheist, yeah.
When we talked a few weeks ago, you were atheist then as well.
Yes, yeah.
True? Okay, all right. I just want to make sure I got my bearings straight. So yeah, welcome. What's good with you?
Hey, I was gonna see. Do you mind if I touch on a couple things from the previous episodes briefly?
Oh, that's fine.
Cool. Yesterday you were talking about Christianity being a scam. I wanted to ask you how the analogy plays out because typically in a scam there's a scammer and the scammer knows that they're scamming.
So as far as I got with trying to work it out, I don't want to.
Who's the scammer in this situation?
Yeah, I don't want to impugn the motives of people who are preaching today. Hold on, Vince. There seems to be a delay between you and me. Are you watching this on YouTube or on a platform?
No, I'm on the StreamYard, but let me see if I can refresh real quick.
Okay. Yeah, real quick, just because I don't want to be talking and he thinks I haven't answered him, but I'm already like 10 seconds into my answer. And then he comes back in. So you there? Vince, you good? So while he's refreshing, let me see. Vince, can you hear me? Oh, now he's coming back in. All right, Vince, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to remove your other one. Hopefully it won't take you out because now you're like on time. You're responding to me on time. Can you still hear me?
Yep, still hear you.
Perfect. Okay. So who's the scammer in this situation? So I don't want to impugn the motives of people who are preaching, but here's the sad thing about what I think Christianity is. I think the people who brought the religion to the world, first you got to go back to Judaism. And I don't even necessarily want to say that we don't know the motives of the people who put the religion in place in Judaism, if it was a scam or if it was simply someone trying to give cultural comfort to their people. So you write these origin stories, you write these prophecies just to give your people hope. You write this apocalyptic literature to give your people hope. Now, if you read the works of some of the Greek philosophers, they would complain that they invented myths to try to like get these moral lessons into their society. But the common folk, the uneducated people, took the myths as real. And so the philosophers were like, no, like the myths were only meant to teach you the moral of the story. Y'all are running with these things as if they're actually true. So even the people who wrote those didn't think they were scamming. They thought they were basically doing sort of like a high level of social engineering, right? So I can't impugn the motives of the people who came up with these stories because they may have been very well intentioned in not trying to trick people, just trying to use story to educate people. But by the time you get to the New Testament, I'm pretty sure that the people who gave us the New Testament, they knew that they were creating this stuff out of whole cloth. Even if there was a real Jesus, the stories about Jesus, they're embellishing them. They're taking maybe some kernels of truth. Maybe he was an itinerant preacher. Maybe he was a teacher. Maybe he even had people thinking he performed miracles. But they're adding, the legend grows. Somebody knows they're making up these stories. Somebody knows that they're not telling the literal truth, and they're passing it off as truth. I don't think I could believe, this is a long answer to your question.
Sorry.
I don't think I can believe that all the way back, you have nothing but sincere believers who believe the testimony and just forwarded the testimony on to the next person. And I believe it too. But when it came to me, I did believe it. I wasn't a scam artist. I didn't think I was tricking people. I believed it. But every once in a while, I had those thoughts like, I can't demonstrate this. So when I say it's a scam, I don't know that I have a culprit in mind of who's scamming, though I do think that there are some people who know that they are scamming, but I wouldn't be able to ascertain that pastor's a crook, that pastor's lying. I think that very many of them are well-meaning and they believe it, but I still think it's a scam, even if I can't point to the original scammer, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess I asked because of what you said. One of the first words you said was intention. And when I look back, everyone who kind of introduced me to the faith and kept me in the faith had good intentions, which is not usually the case with a typical scam. Typically, you look back at a scam and the scammer actually was trying to get one over on me. So I was just trying to flesh out that analogy a little bit.
What do you think about this? I wonder if I could add this though. Like I remember when I began to ask questions, I remember people who were like professors in seminary and all that. I remember them basically telling me like, yeah, we kind of all know that we shouldn't be taking Genesis literally and it's not historical and evolution's true and it's that and the third, but we don't say this to our congregations because they can't handle it. That to me is a scam.
Yeah, that I felt something similar when I learned there was more than one atonement theory, and that probably every pastor I've ever listened to learned that, but I had only heard of one until I was not a Christian. And so there's probably a fine line there between scam and just cognitive dissonance, maybe of just
because I mean, unless you're a teacher, if you're a preacher, here's the thing. When I was a Christian, I was more of a teacher than a preacher. This is crazy. I never even said this before out loud. Well, maybe I have. I'm not sure if I've said it, but I was more of a teacher than a preacher because I was aware that there were 4 views on this and 5 views on this. Before I knew that there were multiple views on something, I was a preacher and I preached the view that I believed. I learned early on, there's different views on this. And I became a teacher. I would teach there are different ways to take these passages, and I would very rarely preach because I knew this could go another way. And so maybe I would still preach Jesus and the cross, but outside of that, I wouldn't preach much at all because I always knew there are other views, and I don't know which one is right.
That's interesting. I was going to just mention one more thing. We had the episode about child abuse. Do you remember that story that I think it kind of turned out to be not totally factual, but it at least went around churches and youth groups when I was growing up in the 90s there was a Columbine victim who supposedly was asked if she was a Christian before she was killed, and she said yes. And was killed for it. So I think it turns out that wasn't actually exactly what happened, but that's another that came to mind during that episode. Thinking of like what I think my deconstruction started probably around the time that I had my first child. And I think that's a tough question for Christian parents to potentially answer, is like, what would you want your child to say in that moment? Because I was taught that like that was the ultimate type of faith that we should, aspire to. But now, like, even if my child turns out to be a Christian, I want her to lie. Just lie and come home, and then ask for forgiveness.
What's interesting, Christians often say, yeah, see, the Quran says that you can lie to advance Islam. Actually, the Quran doesn't say that. It says you can lie to save your life. If somebody asks you if you're a Muslim, you can actually lie to save your life. But in Christianity, Jesus says, if you deny me before man, I'll deny you before my Father. That's crazy to tell that to a child.
So for one, I accepted that story without really even thinking. But two, just the idea that I thought it was like this heroic story when, if true, she would have been in this terrible situation thinking like, if I lie, am I about to be sent to eternity in hell, away from God? But if I tell the truth, my life ends here. Like, what a terrible. Anyway, that's just I just thought of that. That episode made me think of that. So anyway, but
hey, I appreciate it. Yeah,
yes, sir.
Hey, thanks so much for checking in, Vince.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'm going.
Yep. I do have a caller in the queue, a theist caller in the queue, so we'll get to him. But just before, please don't hang up. I see you in the queue. I thought about that today as Vince was talking about that. Christianity is big on giving you these claims and acting as if the claims are facts. I got people who are sending me, like, the tagging me or stuff online, like, hey, we found the wheels of the chariot from Pharaoh in the Red Sea. Doesn't that mean it was true? We found this over here. We found the ark of Noah's Ark on these mountains. Like, Christianity is big on these claims. But then when you go investigate, you always find out there's no there. And just today, I was watching somebody just on the political side talking about what the Trump admin is doing, right? The Trump admin, they claim that Obama's Department of Justice and Biden's Department of Justice practice lawfare. Lawfare is using the law against somebody. They claim, Trump's administration claims that these former administrations practice lawfare against Trump, when no, the hell they did not. You were doing very suspect things, and we acted in concert with your suspect actions. We investigated because you were doing suspect things. You were surrounded by Russian oligarchs and this, that, and the third. And so we investigate. So you're projecting because you claim lawfare is being practiced against you, but then here you come in and you practice lawfare against everybody. And so today somebody was talking about Trump's lawfare, and they said they don't really care about whether the claims are true, whether it be the Southern Poverty Law Center, whether it be Letitia James, whether it be James Comey. They don't care about whether their claims are true. For them, it's good enough just to make the claim. Because if you can make the claim, you can dirty James Comey up in the eyes of the public. You can dirty Letitia James up in the eyes of the public. You can dirty Jerome Powell up in the eyes of the public. You can dirty the Southern Poverty Law Center up in the eyes of the public, but you never have to prove it. Matter of fact, you go to court and all of your shit falls apart in court. But you don't care about that because all you wanted was a claim strong enough to make on social media so that you can get your followers saying, see, I knew y'all were dirty. I knew the left was wicked. I knew da. All headlines, no body. And you survive by getting people worked up on the claims and never having to prove it. Well, Christianity is the same way. It gets people worked up on the claims and never substantiates the claims. And it keeps the base saying, see, we found Noah's Ark. See, we found the wheels of the chariots from Pharaoh. See, we found it. See. Claims, no evidence. It's not facts, it's claims. Okay, before I lose, I got two people in the queue waiting. So welcome back to Ichabod. Minister Damian Farrell, what's going on?
What's up? How you doing?
Hi. Chilling, my man. How you been?
Been doing good. Can't complain. One day at a time.
Mm-hmm. Bro, what are you rocking around your neck? That's phenomenal. What you got going on?
Kuma bees, prayer bees.
Okay. I'm getting heavy Buster rhymes from you right now.
Yeah, you know, if you ever played the game Street Fighter, you know, Akuma, the character Akuma will wearing them, but they're known as prayer beads.
Okay. From any particular culture or? Uh-oh. Are you froze? Hopefully he'll come back. Let's give him a minute, see if he phases. If he doesn't come through in a second, I'm going to switch to my other caller. All right, so maybe he'll, if you can hear me, maybe log out and come back.
Yeah,
right, so oh, there you go. There you go. I was just about to, oh, damn, he came back and now he dipped. All right, so bear with me. I'm going to give him a minute to see if he can come back in. If he doesn't, then I'm going to switch to the other caller. All right. Technology, it's amazing. We do all kinds of great things, but sometimes it does trip us up. All right. And if you have a comment or question that you want to address, make sure you super chat it so that I see it. Otherwise, it's not going to stand out when I scroll up in the chat. All right, I'm going to go to the other caller and hopefully Damien will come back in. So Wes, just so you know, your camera is off. If you want to turn it on, you can. Your mic is muted. You need to unmute your mic. As soon as I see you unmute the mic, I will bring you on. Okay. Welcome, Wes.
Sorry, man. I'm driving. Wes? I'm driving, so my camera's off. But
all good. Wes, did we speak on this platform before?
We did. We did, man.
Okay. And just remind us, are you atheist, agnostic, theist? Where you at?
Yeah, I'm a philosopher. I'm an epistemologist, and so
okay.
I kind of dip in all of them, I guess I would say. I think the issue with me, I believe in the shared library of truth kind of thing.
Okay. Do you believe in God?
I do.
Jesus in
particular, Jesus in particular, right? But Jesus
so you're a Christian theist.
I believe in Jesus as a philosophical concept, not as a being. So
Jesus as a philosophical concept, not a being. What is God in your eyes?
Can we use this money to buy my
goodness? Remember we talked about
God is goodness. So it's coming back to me. God is goodness. Is God a personal being?
Yes, I believe so. I do.
God is a good personal being. And do you believe that the God of the Bible is that good personal being?
Yeah, I believe with some caveats, right? But yes, essentially, yes.
Okay. So before I even go further, we need to know who we're talking to. What are your caveats? The God of the Bible is is the supreme good personal being with caveats. What are the caveats?
Yeah, those caveats are the recognition that the God of the Bible should in all ways be understood as the character of Jesus, how Jesus would act in any given situation.
Do you think Jesus would flood an entire planet, only saving 8 people because the people are evil?
No. But again, that's why I think we need to talk about it.
Wait. You said no, but you just said a minute ago that the God of the Bible is Jesus. The God in the Bible does that.
I disagree, right? So that's why I would go,
okay.
Can we probably need to talk about this part. I think the only way to understand that part is if you are seeing the Bible as a written document and not a representation of an oral tradition. Right? The Bible to me is a representation of an oral tradition. So it's an allegory like Plato. We talked about this last time, like Plato and Socrates, like Aristotle and Plato, right? Plato
Do we
writes
have
down
any
things.
Access to the oral tradition?
Yes, with great degree.
Accurate access to the oral tradition?
Yes, with great degree. I think because you
With a
have to
great degree.
understand what
So then the God of the
yeah.
Bible commanded, or not commanded, flooded the entire earth and only saved, Jesus flooded the entire earth and only saved 8 people.
No, the oral tradition has nothing to do with history. It's allegory. The oral tradition has nothing to do with history. If you have a group of people who are illiterate, they cannot read, you can't, what you do is you pass down morals and truths about how to live through allegorical stories. You tell a story
Okay.
to teach
So
a lesson.
so that story is not true. There's a moral in that story that we should take away from it.
Right. I would go, it may or may not be true in terms of facts. Facts don't matter for allegory.
Well, if it may be true, then it's possible that Jesus flooded the whole earth and only saved 8 people, right? If it may be true.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It cut out for a second. Could you say it for me one more
Okay.
time?
Can you hear me right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. You said it may or may not actually be true, but if it may be true, then that means there's a chance that Jesus flooded the whole earth and only saved 8 people, right?
Oh, I think it may or may not be true in terms of the facts, right? But I'm meaning there's a difference
But
to
if
me
it
between
may
truth
be,
and
then there's
facts. Yeah.
okay.
Sure.
If it may
Sure,
be
yeah.
true, then that means there's a possibility that Jesus flooded the earth, right?
Possibly. Yeah. Sure. Well, I'll concede.
And would he
that,
be
sure.
good if he did
That's
that?
simple. I would have questions because I would go initially no. I would go no, but I would go then if in fact that did happen, I would go then there would have to be an understanding that we don't necessarily have yet, right? I go, what would be a reason to ever feel like you needed to wipe out a group of people? And you would have to convince me Jesus would think this is okay, knowing what we know about the character of Jesus. Remember, Jesus is the fullness of God. So you would have to go, Jesus would think it was okay to wipe out everybody on the planet but 8 people. I would go, oh, okay, they must have all had a terminal disease that spread and corrupted creation or something.
No,
right?
I mean the story that you said is accurate to the oral tradition to a great degree says it's because that they were wicked. All the thoughts of man's heart was only evil continually, and so God said He's going to destroy the earth.
Right. I want to be clear. When I say the oral tradition to a great degree, it's not history. The Bible predates the genre of history.
Right. But if it may or may not, I'm only going off of your it may or may not be true. I'm seizing on the may be true part. We'll get to the may not be true part.
So there may be a flood. There may be a flood. There may have been a flood of some sort, right? But that does not. But the nature of like whether or not it wiped out everybody on the planet but 8 people and all of those kind of things, I go, oh, those to me are where I'm going. Yeah, that part actually does not matter for what the allegory is telling. So it could be
okay. So then let's get to the may not be true part. So the may not be true, even if it's not true historically or literally, there's a moral that God wants to get, and the oral tradition was about the moral that God wanted to pass on, and the written story reflects the oral tradition. Question: who gets to decide what the moral of that story is?
I would go. In this case, I would go, I think we do, right? I think truth itself does. I think we do.
When you say we, who is we? Like every human being gets to decide for themselves, or do we all have to agree? Is there one moral of the story that we should all walk away with?
Yeah, I think there's a shared library of goodness that mankind shares. Yeah.
So how do we, as much as we all, so there's tens of thousands of Christian denominations. And then even within those denominations, you're hardly going to find 2 Christians who agree. So with all of the non-agreement about what the Bible says, what do you mean when you say we get to decide what the moral of that story is? How do we do that with all of with the variety of the way that we think about the Bible? How do we decide that?
Yeah, I think we decide by the same way. This is going back to our concept of goodness we talked about last time. In my mind, I go, you and I may decide differently on what goodness is, but both of us decide things should be good. It's universal that everyone thinks things should be good. Now, what we decide good is may vary, but everybody decides that. And so I would go, yeah, if you look at that story and you go, yeah, it's good to like murder people, I would go, yeah, I mean, we have a name for you in my belief, right? People who do harm and evil things and think it's good, we call demons. So I would go, yeah,
Well,
sure.
no. The story is about God doing it, not you or me or anybody else doing it. So what would the moral of, if the story's not literal and it comes from an oral tradition of God was trying to give us a lesson, what would the moral be, and how do we know that we've got the right moral?
Okay, so I would go, I think we would know we have the right moral, or what the moral would be. I go, is intent first would be, is intended for people to pull different things, right? I don't think there is a single one. That's how allegories work. They have multiple truths embedded in them. So I would go, oh, I don't think there is a certain definite moral truth you're supposed to pull. I think you might go, man, when I'm in the midst of a flood myself, where it feels like everything around me is turning against me and I'm the only one who can survive, what should I do in that moment? You might use it that way, or you might go the other way and go, when I am faced with a group
are
of
the
people
parts
who are, when
go ahead, I'm sorry.
or you might go the other way, and you might go, when I'm faced with a group of people who are causing harm to those who I love or those that I value, how should I deal with them? And you might pull it differently. And so I think it's meant to be multifaceted because we're supposed to enter the story, not watch a historical narrative.
But the players in the story is humanity and God. And in the morals that you just broke down, none of it has anything to do with God having a problem with the way that humanity is living and destroying them because of it. So basically, you've got all these elements in the story that have no correlation to reality. Because in the story, it's God judging humanity. In your moral, it's me and some other group of people having some kind of issue. Like,
well, I don't know.
And to be honest,
well, that's what I'm saying. I think that is based off of how you're choosing to read scripture, right? I think that if you're choosing to read
literally, the characters in the story is God and humanity. So the question is, why are those the characters if the moral has nothing to do with God?
Yeah. So in my mind, I would go, all right, the characters, right? The characters in the story don't matter for the truth the story is teaching. Right? Like the story, think the tortoise and the hare. There's a rabbit in the story, there's a tortoise in the story, but they don't matter for what the story is teaching.
It could have been a snail and a goat.
Yeah, it could have been anything.
Same moral, right?
Right, it could have been. Yeah, same moral. Yeah.
Okay.
Same moral truths.
And how would we and so okay, so we don't really have a clear way of knowing what the right moral to take away from that story is, and the characters in the story don't even matter. So it almost makes it.
Well, I don't know. I would go back. I would go, yeah, I would treat it like any other wisdom story. Is there something in the story that you can learn that would teach you about goodness and how to live?
I could learn that from Star Wars, The Force Awakens. Yeah. There's the good side, there's the dark side. I could learn that from the never-ending story with the nothing and a trail. Why do I need the Bible then if I can just get morals from any good story or any story about good and evil?
Oh, because the Bible doesn't claim to be exclusive truth. It claims to be comprehensive truth. The Bible itself tells you to go learn everything from the book of Jasher in 1 Samuel chapter 19. It goes, go learn from the book of Jasher. That's not in the Bible itself, but it thinks there's a truth about God in it. So the Bible, you use it as what it was originally designed for, as a canon, as a measuring rod. When you find truth somewhere, anywhere else, you measure it and go, can I see this same truth within Scripture? It doesn't claim.
Do you think it's good to
comprehensive truth?
Do you think it's good to sacrifice humans to appease a God?
I do not know.
Would you worship a God who does?
No, I would not.
What do you do with the passages in the Bible, in the Old Testament, where God commands that people be put to death, sacrificed to him, or made as offerings to him?
All right, can I reference the conversation you were just having a second ago?
Sure.
All right, we all know that Genesis is not a historical thing, right? We all know it. It's taught in seminaries. We all know that it's not meant to be historical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, we
You
don't all
referencing
know
it,
that. Some of us know that.
but yeah, you know that, right? So me and you
Mhm.
both know that, right? So even though there are historical elements described in the story, right, that doesn't
Mhm.
mean that those historical elements actually happened. What's happening in the story is supposed to teach us something, right?
Right. What is it teaching us when God
So
commands that you make a human sacrifice to him? What
So
is it
in my
teaching
mind,
us?
I'm going, if you're reading that story as a literal, I will go, let's contextualize the story. I go, the story actually is, if you contextualize the story, it's not an individual story, it's part of a larger narrative. And in the larger narrative, what we learn over and over again is that if we allow human beings, to go, we're going to decide what is right on our own, right? Then it often puts them at odds with what God desires, right? It often puts them
God
at odds
desires
with
human
what God desires.
sacrifice according to the Bible. At certain
Well,
periods of
that's what I'm
history,
saying.
God desired human
That's what I'm saying.
sacrifice.
I think you're reading it literally, like you might do Genesis. I think you're reading
Right.
it literally, and I
But what
go,
I'm asking
it's
is
not,
if that's the literal
but it's not
version and it's
literal.
wrong, what's the
I don't
right?
read it. I don't
What's
read it
the
literally. So I don't read it literally, so I don't have to defend that part. I don't read it
no.
literally. That's
You
not.
don't have to defend the literal translation or the literal interpretation of it. I'm asking you, what's the moral we should be getting from the story where God does accept human sacrifice? What should we be getting from that?
Well,
how do you take it?
to be clear, I would go, one, I would love for you to tell me which story we're referencing. And then two, I would go, if we're
Can you
referencing
think
this,
of any? Can you think of any where
yeah,
God accepts human sacrifices in the Old
I
Testament?
cannot. That I would no, I can't. That's why I'm going. Tell me, please.
Okay.
Uh,
I would task you to Google to go find. I did an entire episode. Matter of fact, I think I did several episodes on it. Human sacrifice in the Bible, where God commands it and God accepts it. It's in the law, the books of the law, right? Moses's the law of Moses. How come you don't know that
well,
your God accepts, or at least there's stories about your God accepting human sacrifices?
well, that's what I'm
That seems like
saying.
something
I'm
that you would
going.
want to know.
No, that's what I'm saying. I agree with you if that is true, but I'm saying
Mhm.
only if that's
Well,
only
if it
true
is true,
if
what
you're
would that
reading the
mean?
Bible. If it was
Right.
true, I would go, oh,
Mhm.
that wouldn't bother me in the least bit, because I would go, oh, then that doesn't matter to me. My personal following is, remember, God is represented in the character of Jesus. So if there's something that contradicts that, right? If there's something that contradicts that, then I go, oh, that doesn't matter to me. I follow the character of Jesus. So I go,
But the character of Jesus, you just said the God of the Bible, Old Testament included, is Jesus. So the character of Jesus is, at least the story from the oral tradition, is he accepted at one point, he accepted human sacrifice, even if it's not literal. You've got to do something with that. You can't just say, I don't accept that. You've got to,
well,
because you
sure,
said they're
sure.
meant to give us morals. What's the
Sure, I
moral
can. So
there?
here's how I can. This is what I'm saying. You're going, the God of the Old Testament. You're going, the God of the Old Testament is then the same as Jesus. And I'm going, oh, no,
Well,
no,
in
no.
the New
If that,
Testament, Jesus tied himself
uh,
to that God. He said that
right.
God
So,
is my Father.
right. And he goes, and then he goes, I do what the Father would have me to do. And Colossians goes, Jesus is the fullness of the Father. He did not call it robbery. There's nothing in the Father that's not in Jesus, right? So you have to get me to believe that Jesus, right? Because that's where I would draw. Then I would go, Jesus is how we have to interpret anything in the Bible. Anything in the Bible has to be interpreted through Jesus. So you show me where Jesus seems to suggest in any way, shape, or form that murdering people is a good thing, right? I go, so if Jesus then goes, all right, then I am the representative of the Old Testament, then I have to go, well, either we're reading the Old Testament incorrectly or it's being reported incorrectly. But
So blame
Jesus
the
is
victim, never blame the book, right?
no, what do you mean? Jesus is not a victim. Who's a
No,
victim?
we're the victims. You blame us, the people who are reading this and say, hey, here's what it says. You blame us for interpreting it wrong rather than blame the book for saying some wild shit.
No, I actually don't care. Remember, my following of God. Remember, I told you I started by going, I follow, my God is goodness itself, the very concept of goodness itself, the essence of goodness itself. And I go,
But
and that
we've
is
already covered
represented.
the fact that there are things in your God that you yourself say are not good, and you're having to do all these things to make it. So we must be interpreting it wrong. It must be a
No,
moral
no,
in the story.
no, that's what I'm saying. You are assuming that I am ascribing to the Old Testament. You might as well call me a Jesus only Christian. You could call me
But
a
I
Jesus
asked
only
you
Christian.
earlier if the God of the Bible was your God, and you said yes.
Jesus is in the Bible. He's the
I
God
didn't
of the
say
Bible.
if there's a. I didn't ask you if there's a God in the Bible that you accept. I asked you if the God that the Bible presents, because the Bible, the way the New Testament writes it, is that Jesus is the manifestation of the God of the Old Testament. So the New Testament God and the Old Testament God is the same dude. Maybe there's three
Well,
dudes, but it's one dude.
well, to be clear, if that's true, right, what you're saying would
Mhm.
make total sense, right? It would make total sense, right? Because you would go, then the Jesus of the New Testament seems distinctly different than the God of the Old Testament, right? Is that
He
fair?
doesn't to me. No,
Okay, so then I
no.
would go, all right. So then I
The
would go,
Jesus
show
of
me
the
where
New Testament came to satisfy the wrath of the God of the Old Testament. It's the same wrath, the
I,
same God who
but
will
but
sacrifice
but
babies and
Je-
all. Same God.
but that's not what Jesus said he came for. That's
He
not what
said he
Jesus
came to
said
do
he
the
came
will of the
for.
Father. He said he came to
Jesus
do
said,
the will
right.
of the
He
Father.
says, I came that you might have life and life more abundantly. That's what he said he came
Who's
for.
that to? Who's that to?
That was to
Isn't that
humanity.
only to those who believe?
No, that's to humanity. Jesus comes and goes, I come that you might have life and that you might have life more abundantly. And someone runs up on him and goes,
Jesus, if
yo,
words in the New Testament are Jesus's words, that is only to those who believe. Those who do not
okay,
believe, Jesus says they are condemned already.
okay. So we now need to talk about it. What are we talking about when we talk about believe, right? Because I would go, yeah, if you're going believe as in believe in the doctrine that is traditionally taught in Christianity, that there is substitutionary atonement, that is fulfilling the wrath pulled out. I go, oh, those are great theologies, but you do not see Jesus reflect those things in his actual words. Jesus's gospel is the kingdom of heaven. He goes, I came to give you the kingdom of heaven. And they go, what's the kingdom of heaven? And he goes, here's the greatest command. You'll fulfill everything in the law and the prophets. What did he say do? Love God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength, and then love your neighbor as you are loving yourself. As you're loving yourself, as you're taking care of yourself, love your neighbor along the way. So Jesus
So
goes, by
then if
doing
I
that,
just do
that's
that,
my
I'm
gospel.
good, right?
I think so. I do.
So
I
do
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 think
I
so.
need to believe in your God? If like I can just love my neighbor as myself, do I need to believe in your God or do I have to believe in your God? Because the
Well,
first
I would
command
say
is
that, yeah.
love God, and then love your neighbor as yourself. What if I don't love your God? I just love my neighbor as myself. Am I still good?
Well, I don't know if you can. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if you can. So I'm going, I don't know if you can. My God is goodness, just like I think Jesus is, right? He goes, he references God as a good father, right? He goes, God himself is a good father. So I'm going, yeah, if you are going to love goodness itself, you are going to love goodness itself, then I would go, yeah. And I think Jesus says that. I think Jesus, they ask him, how do you get eternal life? How do I get it? How do I get the best life? How do I live forever? And people will
Jesus's
go,
answer was believe on the one that God has sent.
actually, Jesus's answer is love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength, and then love your neighbor as
No, that
yourself.
was
And
the
then they
answer
go,
to the question, what's the greatest commandment? The answer to how do I get eternal life is believe on the one
ah,
that God has sent.
no, look at Luke chapter 10. Luke chapter 10, he runs up on him. He goes, how do I get eternal life? How do I get it? And Jesus goes, what do you find written in the law? And he goes, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, soul, strength. He goes, yeah. He goes, do that. And the guy goes, who's my neighbor? Trying to prove himself. And then Jesus tells the story of the Good Samaritan. So in Jesus's mind, the way that you get eternal life, the way that you live forever, the best life, what you do is you love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, your strength, and then you love your neighbor as yourself. And if you get confused about what it means to love your neighbor, he goes, yo, man, act like this guy did and care for the people who are hurting, care for the people who find themselves on the side of the road, right? That's what he says. And he goes, by doing that, you will get eternal life. And many people will go, well, he hadn't died yet, so it didn't matter. And I go, well, in Luke chapter 9, the chapter right before, he actually talks about his death. So it wasn't that he didn't know he was going to die. It wasn't that he didn't know that salvation was going to be dependent on it, right? He knew all of those things. And when he gets asked the question, how do you get eternal life? He does not talk about his death. He talks about doing this thing, loving the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and then loving your neighbor as yourself.
So before I let you go, I'm just curious, even if I thought all of this sounded wonderful, it doesn't sound wonderful. Okay. It sounds sort of far-fetched. Why should I believe? Why should I believe in the God that you're here talking to me about? Oh,
because I think the God that I believe in is beautiful. I think, what's funny is my argument.
No, wait. You said the God that you believe in is beautiful. You've already admitted that the God that you believe in has oral tradition and written testimony that's surprisingly accurate to the oral tradition, where he seems to have painted himself as someone who will destroy an entire earth and accept child sacrifice, whether or not that's literal or not. He paints himself this way, and you think that this God is beautiful?
Okay, that's what I'm saying. To me, you're building a straw man, right? Can I finish? You're building a straw man and you're tearing it down. And I go, yeah, that makes sense, right? But remember, I started the conversation by going, my God's name is goodness, and it is represented in Jesus, right? If you want to pull Jesus out of the Bible, right, and get rid of the entire Bible, I would not care. Jesus is the God that I think is beautiful. That's the one.
Would you know Jesus without the Bible?
I think so. I think that's what's really cool about Jesus. I think that's what's really cool about Jesus. I was about to tell you, is that every religion seems to want him. Every religion seems to want him, the atheists included, right? Everybody seems to go, right? The Muslims go, yeah, we like him. The Buddhists go, yeah, we like him. The Tao goes, we like him. The atheists go, he's a good moral teacher. The Jews go, he's a good Jew. I go,
atheists don't think most atheists don't think he's a good moral teacher. Most atheists say if he's co-signing the God of the Old Testament, he's a moral monster. You may find a few atheists who think he's a good moral teacher. I would say those are the ones who are not thinking through what Jesus actually taught. They probably don't know the Bible.
Well, I don't know. I would go, that the four great horsemen of the atheists, three of them have actually acknowledged that they like Jesus, right? So Richard Dawkins goes, he's a great moral teacher.
Richard Dawkins doesn't know the Bible. Richard Dawkins he doesn't know the Bible. He was not a Bible student. He was not a. None of them were Bible scholars. None of them were
Bart Ehrman. He likes Jesus, and he's not a believer.
He may like some things Jesus says. I don't think he's a fan of Jesus through and through.
He read his book Jesus and Paul. He'll tell you in great detail. He has great admiration for Jesus, and that's and so I'm going.
That's him.
So I'm going. Yeah, and I'm going. A lot of atheists actually think that Jesus is a great moral teacher because Jesus himself, you don't really point to anything he says or did that most people don't like. You might not like Christians. You might not like.
I can point to several things Jesus said that I think is crazy as hell.
Okay, I would love to know what it was. Right?
Jesus says that God, who knows all things, knows the end from the beginning and vice versa. God made hell for the devil and his angels, but he's also going to send people there, even though he didn't make hell for them, which is crazy.
Okay, all right. So I would love to talk about that part if you get some time. Maybe not here because I know you said you're running out, but I'll go. We got to talk about the term Sheol, don't we? Don't we got to talk about the term Sheol in order for
Sheol is a term. Jesus didn't use Sheol. He was talking Hannah.
Huh? I'm sorry.
Jesus didn't use the term Sheol. Sheol is a heathen term. Jesus didn't use the term. He was talking Hannah.
I think we would have to have a conversation then, man. I'm sorry. I know you were getting me off, and I don't want to. But I'd love to have a conversation because Jesus does use the term Sheol. Actually, I studied this one in great detail. So. Thanks for chatting with me, man. I will say this, dude. I've always thought you were one of the greatest thinkers and one of the greatest lyricists out there. I still do. I love this right here. And and I want you to know that, man. So
I appreciate that, bro. Thanks for calling in, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk again.
yeah, man. Thanks.
All right, Wes. Hey, thank y'all for letting me know the mic was bugging out. Appreciate that. Minister Damien, thank you for tapping back in and waiting patiently. Just gonna bring you right into the studio. Let's get it. What's up, my man?
Not much. How you feeling?
Doing pretty good, man. Let's try to get it before technology
That started, man.
does its part. Yeah. So the prompt, why should I believe in God? What say ye?
Well, you already, you know what I mean? You already been there, so you know what I mean? But
well, I got to the point where I no longer believe. So the question is, am I wrong about something? And if I am, why should I believe in God? I don't think I need God. I've been without God. I've been sans deity for going on 8 years now. Some of that time I didn't know I was going to be sans deity, but functionally, I've been without a God for 8 or 9 years now. Why should I believe in God?
Well, I believe me myself.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that everybody gonna serve some type of God. It's all what you look at, what your definition of God is. Do you believe that you serving some type of God now?
No, I think if I was to say I was serving some type of God, I would say maybe I'm trying to put myself back in my Christian mindset because I know the lingo. I would say maybe I'm serving. You shaking your head because you don't rock with the term Christian.
No, it ain't that. It ain't the Christian thing. It's the fact that you saying that, like for instance, what you got written up there is showing that you could be serving a God. Be good.
Well, you know who Yahweh is, right?
It. But listen what I'm saying. You got be good, serving a Yahweh.
Not Yahweh.
You know Yahweh. But if you look at in the book of Exodus, it tell you that God is a jealous God. Why is God a jealous God? He's a jealous God.
He's insecure.
No, it ain't that. The only way he can be jealous if somebody could serve another God. And what I found out that in my Christian walk, because remember I told you I was an atheist at one time. I didn't believe in God, period. You know what I mean? The word, the conviction of God, the conviction of the word would make me to the point where somebody mentioned the word to me, mentioned Christ to me. I would literally go angry. I would go to cussing. I would go off. But to make a long story short, what I learned in my walk of being a Christian, the God you serve is the God you worship. You can worship your car if you serve your car. You can worship your wife if you serve your wife. Whatever you put before God is the God you serve, and that's the God you worship.
But you're sort of just defining God into existence by saying anything you serve. So if a cop, the purpose of the police is to protect and serve. Are they worshiping? Is society their God because they're serving society?
If they put that before God, yes.
So then it's not serving something, it's putting something before God, right?
The word tell you whatever you do, word or deed, make sure you do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus.
So hold on.
What I mean?
So it's not.
You can
serve something without it being your God. True?
You can serve and minister to somebody, yes. But if you put that person before God himself, that becomes your God.
What if I'm not putting anything before God because I don't think God exists? I'm not putting anything before God. I'm not even putting anything. When I got rid of
but
God.
But what I'm saying is, if you throw God out the way.
Wait. Let me finish the thought. When I got rid of the idea of God, I did not replace God with anything. I didn't get a new God. I didn't say, oh, I'm going to be my God now. I don't have a God.
I can't hear you. Yes, went out.
Sorry. I saw it froze up. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I hear a little staticky. Say something else.
Yeah, I hear it static too. Yeah, but I can hear you.
Is my mic messed up?
I don't know because I've been hearing it, with the other dude too.
Okay, hold on. Let me
clear now.
Try something. 1 2 1 2. Say something for me.
1 2 1 2. It's clear.
Okay. So hopefully
I don't know if you hear me, but I hear you.
I hear you. Hoping it's not a delay. So let's see if we can. Okay. I was saying, when I became an atheist, I did not replace God with anything. I didn't say, oh, God's off the throne. Now I'm going to sit on the throne.
You don't have
I don't have a right, but I don't have a God, and I don't have anything before a God. Like, to have something before God means that God's now number 2, 3, or 1,000, and something else is first. I don't have a category for God in my worldview at this point.
But you notice you said from your worldview. See what I'm saying? You ain't got to know that you worshiping something for to be worshiping. You know what I mean? You don't have
but
to
once
say,
again,
well,
you're defining me into your position. You want me to have a God and be worshiping something.
Not necessarily, because, you know what I mean? I learned too, in order for you to say you don't believe something, you got to first acknowledge that thing you don't believe.
Okay. What does that mean?
In other words, you saying you don't believe in God, but in order for you to say you don't believe in God, you first got to acknowledge that God that you say you don't believe in order to not believe it.
Does that mean it exists just because I acknowledge it?
It don't matter if like far as existence, I can believe and it still don't mean nothing if it exists or not. No farther than me not believing. See what I'm saying?
I'm not sure what point you're making. Just because
me believing don't make the fact that God is real. You know what I mean?
Right. And me acknowledging the concept of God and saying I don't believe that, what does that do? Like, when you say that, I'm trying to figure out what point you're making by saying I have to acknowledge it just to say I don't believe it.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. You got to acknowledge.
But what's the point of that? I'm not sure what the point of that is.
The point is if you saying you don't believe, you still in a sense believing. Because you had
that's not true. Okay, so here's the deal. What you're doing is you're confusing the concept with the existence of the thing. If you say you don't believe in Santa Claus, you saying that is not making Santa Claus any more real. Right? You're talking about the concept. You don't believe in the concept. So by you saying it, that's not like, see, you just admitted he's real. No, that's not how it works. True?
I can't say that's true.
But you see my point, though. You see my point. I see it in your face. You see my point.
I can't see that's true, though. You know what I mean? Because like I said, all the way down to when you were talking about in Genesis, and I know you know, you threw out with old boy with Genesis 1 verse 1. You know what I mean? When he didn't know. You know what I mean? I know you know. You went to theologian school and all that. I know you know that the fact that in Genesis 1 verse 1 and Genesis 1 verse 2, that word earth was translated to 2 different words. That first word was Bahu, which means when he created it perfect. And then from Genesis 1 verse 1 to Genesis 1 verse 2, it was a period of time where they said that it ended up being judgment. They talked about it in the because in Genesis 1 verse 2 is Tahu, which means without form or void, and then he recalled back into clay.
Both of the words that you're talking about are in verse 2, and the earth was tohu vavohu, meaning without form or void, or another way to translate it would be it was unshapen and unuseful. Those what those words mean, and they're both in verse 2. There's no gap between verse 1 and verse 2.
It's in the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. That's verse 1. Earth there was Bahu. When you got to Genesis 1 verse 2, it said then the earth will without
the word that's earth in Genesis chapter 1, I'm pretty sure is the word eretz. That's the earth in verse 1. There's no, the tohu vavohu is verse 2.
I'm looking at it right here. You're looking at it right here. Because if anybody that really studied the word, they know that the earth was destroyed twice by flood. You had the time with Noah, and then you had the other time where the angels.
Well, before we do all that, because that's going to take us further away from where we're trying to go to.
Because
why should I believe in God?
That's on you. You know what I mean? Like
but
I said,
do you think do you think I should?
Do I think I think everybody should because
Right. Why should I? If you think I should, why should I?
I feel like everybody should because for the simple fact that if the Bible is true, and I'm throwing it in your field, if the Bible is true, we're gonna have to go by everything that's in there for judgment, the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean? Because it's a consequence. Everybody look at Jesus as coming as the peaceful lamb, but they don't look at him coming back as the roaring lion.
Why should we?
You know what I mean? Huh?
Jesus said to the people in his day, hold on. Jesus said to the people in his day, they asked him, he said, yo, you see this temple here? It's going to be destroyed and it's not even going to have one stone upon the other. They said, yo, tell us, when will these things happen? And he went down a whole litany of things and said, hey, when you see this, then you know. And when you see this, it's not yet, but it's close. And when you see this, and then he says, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. And that generation is gone. So why should we think that anything Jesus said is going to happen?
Wow. Do you know why the temple was torn?
Do I know why it was torn?
Mm-hmm.
I know when it was torn. It was torn in 70 AD by Rome.
Well, I'm talking about, do you know why it was destroyed though? Why was the veil of the temple ripped?
I'm not talking about the veil. I'm talking about the actual temple itself.
Yeah, because when the temple was torn down, that when the veil was ripped.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Yes, sir.
You're confusing several things.
That was the ending of the Levite priesthood.
No, sir. You're talking about the story in the Gospels that says that the veil in the temple was split when Jesus was crucified.
Yes,
which
sir.
happened when if Jesus was earthly crucified, that happened somewhere in the 30s AD. The temple was not destroyed until 70 AD. So the veil splitting, that story, is not the same time as when the temple was actually destroyed. There's at least 40 years between those two.
But the whole thing is, that was the doing away of the Levite priesthood going back to Melchizedek, which Melchizedek,
but even still, you're talking about a different point. I'm asking you, why should I believe anything that they say Jesus said if what he said was going to happen, that all these things would take place and you would see him coming on the clouds with power and angels and all that and the glory of his Father? He said this generation will not pass away until all these things happen. That generation is gone and those things did not happen. Jesus did not return. So then why should I believe anything that it says Jesus said is going to happen? He's already a liar or a fraud, or they lied on him.
You saying that, you know what I mean? It's like I say, it's all in how you interpret it. It's all about your hermeneutic. It's all in your hermeneutic. You got people that believe that you got some people that believe the second coming was when Jesus was born the first time through the womb, and then when he you know what I mean? You got different hermeneutics on how, you know, people believe in time eschatology. But you know what I mean? It's all in how you interpret.
I would love for you to, when you come up with some good reasons as to why. I know you believe, and I know that you believe you have reasons for believing, but I don't think you've given me or anybody who's watching reasons why we should believe too. The Bible says, hey, I think it's what First Peter talks about. Always be ready to give a reason for the hope that you have. And I'm asking, what are the reasons for this hope? And I'm not hearing any good reasons. I used to share the hope that you had. I had that hope. I don't think that there's any good reasons to have that hope anymore.
But it tells you, it says in Exodus, it said the secret things of God. Some things God will reveal it to you. And I hope he, you know what I mean? Like I told you in the time you go for your journey, you know what I mean? Just keep your journey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I can say. Keep your journey.
You could journey with me, bro. Like we all got some miles ahead of us. I want to see us journey well. So. I don't think, you know what I mean? I don't think faith. I don't think faith is a good. I don't think the shoes of the gospel are good traveling shoes. I think we need
my question
better
is,
epistemology.
How is it in your eyesight? How is it bad?
How is it bad? Well, one, because it teaches you that you're a sinner and that your natural desires, your natural thoughts, everything that's natural about you is stuff that God hates so much that he would kill you, but he loves you so much that he killed somebody else. But if you don't believe it, he will kill you, and he'll kill you eternally. That's a crazy message to tell, that your God loves you, that your maker loves you so much, but he also hates you so much that he would kill you if you don't believe in his son. That's for starters.
He don't hate
for
you.
starters, that's say again.
I say he don't hate you, he hates sin.
So he loves me, but he will put me in hell forever because he hates sin that's a part of me. Like we got people who, we got doctors right now, right?
Plan.
If you have, okay, so if y'all don't accept this plan, if you have cancer, right? We're getting to the point now that we can actually go in with lasers and all kinds of technology to separate your cancerous cells from the healthy cells and extract the cancer from you, because we want you, we don't want your cancer. Doctors can do that. You mean to tell me God can't extract sin from me? He hates the sin so much, even though he loves me, he hates the sin so much that he will put me in hell forever because he can't extract the sin cancer from me.
I can tell you, you could do even better though. You can eat right. You know what I mean? You can not put in the toxins that we're not supposed to.
You're missing my point. You're missing my point. You're
missing my point. And still won't get cancer.
You're missing my point. I only use cancer.
I understand what you're saying to a to a degree, but
is there any way that I can?
Because
is there any way that I cannot be a sinner? Is there any way that somebody can come to the earth and not be a sinner?
If you born through the virgin birth like Jesus was, if your father was who Jesus' father was, which was,
is that possible?
The Father in heaven, yeah.
Is it possible for anybody else other than Jesus to be born without being a sinner?
That's why we got to take it. That's why we got to accept him as ransom. That's why.
Yeah.
Because when God
I'm gonna let you go on that note, bro.
When God see you, he don't see you. He see Jesus when you accept his plan.
But if I don't, he sees my sin,
know
right?
That, though. You already know that.
But if I don't accept Jesus, he sees my sin, right?
Yeah, he sees sin.
But he cannot do what
we know.
He can't do what surgeons can do. He can't go in and extract the sin from me, right? He can't take it out of me, right?
No, but he could cover you. See what I'm saying?
Why can't he take it out of me?
He could cover you.
Why can't he take it out of me?
What you mean?
Can't God do all things?
Yeah.
So why can't he take the sin?
Thing. See, that's the same thing that other thief that was on the cross did. So you had one that was on the cross on one side that believed in him. Then you had the other cross on the side that didn't believe on.
No.
And he was like,
I'm just asking.
But what I'm saying
is if you can do all
God
things,
come take us off this cross. You know what I mean? You can't tempt God. That's what in Matthew chapter 4 when Satan was.
He didn't say if you God. He didn't say if you're God, come take us off the cross. He said if you're God, you can take yourself off the cross.
And then when the other one said he believed,
you save others, you can save yourself.
But listen though,
all right,
that's the same thing that in Matthew chapter 4, when Satan at his command tried to tell Jesus to change that rock into bread. You know what I mean? You can't tell God when to do stuff or when not to do something. He do it with his own time.
So on that note, I'm gonna let you go because we got some red flags. We got some red flags in the chat. On that note,
we'll talk. You know what I mean? We'll talk.
Okay. Much love to you, man.
All right. Love.
Yeah. Peace. Y'all got to utilize the red flags. I saw one, and then I just now saw another one. But if y'all not feeling how it's going, y'all got to utilize the red flags. Let me bring in Manny into the chat. Your camera's not on. If you want, you could turn your camera on. You don't have to. Yeah, if you don't have a red flag, you can just throw the red ball in the chat, and we'll keep it moving. Let me get a swig of the liquor, which is only H2O, and then we'll bring Manny into the chat. One second. All right. All right, welcome. Manny, what's good?
What's up, brother? Hey, man,
Chilling. How
enjoy
you
the
be?
show. I appreciate how you bring forth a very strong case against things that fall suspect. So now let me
Okay.
ask you this.
Hold on, Manny. Hold on, real quick.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
we gotta know who you are. Let us know. Are you theist, atheist, agnostic? Where are you at with the God question?
I would say I'm theist.
And are you a theist of any particular God claim? Christian, Muslim, any other religion?
Yeah, it's Christology.
Christology. And does
Yeah.
that mean that you are a Bible believer?
Yes, sir.
From cover to cover, or do you like certain portions of, like, you're a New Testament Christian, not an Old Testament? Are you cover to cover with
When
it?
I say I believe, if I'm a Bible believer, I believe in truth, and I believe that there's truths in everything. So I can't exclude saying that I don't believe in the Bible, because there are truths in the Bible that if you follow these truths, then you become successful. You become enlightened. You
So
become a
truths
very
in the
higher
Bible, but that
creature.
doesn't. There are
Say that again.
truths in the Bible. There are truths in the Bible as far as you're concerned. But are you willing to say that the Bible is all true? That's a different statement.
No, sir. It's not all true.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got you. All right.
The
Let's see how this
story.
goes. So,
Okay, go ahead.
no. So the question is, why should I believe in God? First, let me just ask you, do you think I should believe in God?
Well, I would say this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the mind is what it believes. Now, I can't think of nothing more superior than to be one with created me. So now that type of self-esteem, it does something to my physiology, psychologically, chemically. Do you know when you're feeling that oneness with one who created you, the fear goes out the window, insecurity goes out the window, your testosterone start boosting, endorphins start going through your body. So now this is an electric experience. So now going into this miserable, chaotic, wicked world without no armor, then guess what? I embrace and I become now what my brain is thinking about, the environment. So the environment is
Hold on,
wicked.
Manny. Hold on.
Yes,
You're
sir.
screaming at me. You're
I'm
screaming
sorry,
at
I'm
me now.
not screaming. I'm just passionate, brother.
I hear you, but let's
I'm
talk.
grateful you even let me speak that
No, all
usually
good.
people just hang up. Thanks for your
All
patience,
good.
brother.
But a question for you. Is it only God that can produce the effect that you're talking about, walking through this life with confidence and adrenaline and testosterone and all? Is it only God that can do that? Or can I get those same benefits from anything else in this world?
Well, I would say this. However you can get it, get it. But I'm telling you
Okay.
that this Christ-like spirit, that if you now believe that all of those gifts are yours, this is biology. You become what you think. So imagine you got the ability to to shoot your dopamine up instantly by what you're thinking about. You all but what you think.
I'm not trying to be funny. I
Yes,
want to
sir.
just test out and tease out what you said. If I think I'm a ham sandwich, do I become a ham sandwich?
You become foolish.
Okay. If it turns out there's no God and God talk is foolish, then is me thinking about God all the time, do I become foolish by doing that?
You think about God every time you breathe, because God is in
I don't.
everything that exists in. Every spark that exists, it has an order. And when it follow that order, it's saying, hallelujah, it's a God that created me. And just like your body
So
has an order that it follow without you even being conscious of, that's what I'm talking about. That's a God spark. So it's in
like
everything.
2 callers ago, there's a habit that Christians or theists have, and that is trying to define your God into existence. If you say, when every time I breathe, I'm praising God, and everything that every particle has some kind of God component. If you define everything as God, then of course God exists, because you define this thing as God. How can you demonstrate that your God exists without making a claim that you can't demonstrate? Can you demonstrate that your God exists?
You're duty bound. When you were put, this is an allegory, but this is a perfect example of how the scriptures say, when I put you in the garden, I gave you the task to name what you see. So this is giving you not just a vocabulary or a definition, but it's giving you the ability to define what you see with words, because words are powerful. And as you speak these words, you manifest. We're the storytellers of what makes us a creature that says we're the caretakers of the world. So if you don't know words,
Manny, I hear you. We're getting red flags in the chat, and my ears are starting to pop because you're very loud. I appreciate you calling. I think you might want to, if you're going to call in, get some better reasons. If you're going to tell somebody they should believe in God because of X, there might be, not that I agree with them, but I think there are better presentations of reasons to believe in God. I don't think you've given us much in this call, but when you get some, feel free to call back, man. But I appreciate you calling in.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, much love to you. I'm too nice, man. I don't be wanting to like cut people off. I'm like, I want to hear you out, because maybe you're going to say something that will make me say, oh, I can seize on that point, and maybe we can make this a better conversation. So a lot of times, if I'm letting somebody talk, it's only because I'm trying to see, what are you going to say that I could use that to show you where you're not reasoning well. Sometimes I'm interested in what they're saying. Sometimes I'm just listening for okay, that was sort of a point that I could use to help this person realize that ain't it. But I appreciate the red flags. Definitely do help me know, okay, I can, this is not me being mean. This is me saying the audience is not feeling this conversation. I could feel a little better about cutting somebody off because I'm too much of a nice guy. All right. Appreciate y'all with the red flags. Any other thieves out there? Because maybe, and I'm not trying to hate or diss anybody, maybe you've been listening saying, these people are not representing my God properly. Let me call and do it. So if you're a theist out there, you're like, no, let me get on and do what these other theists aren't doing. Maybe this is your chance to show them how it's done. The link is in the chat. I'm going to post it. I normally do 3 hours. We're coming up on 3 hours now. Instagram just shut off. So maybe we passed the milestone, y'all, because Instagram used to shut off after 1 hour. We did 3 hours and it finally just shut off. So I don't know. Oh, thank you. My unique Monique says I got a super chat. Oh, and I got somebody in the queue. And it's not a theist, but I will take this other person's call if no theist is going to call in. All right. Who's this? Professor Hizzle says, good evening, my brother in atheism, enjoying the show for the first time. Here's to the hydration fun. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate that. And let me see. And here goes a treat. Let's bring into the studio, unless the theist is going to kick in real quick. Hold on, where's that at? Sorry, y'all. Give me a second. I'm trying to run through these comments real quick. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to make this screen smaller, but my screen is stuck on super large right now. Okay, there we go. Welcome to Ichabod. James Pesh, what's going on? James, wait, where you at? I can't bring you one.
Am I here?
Hold on. Why can't I bring you in?
Audible? It could be
There we
because
go.
I'm using. Am I audible?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, right on.
What's good, man? What's good with you?
Hey, you're handling these conversations incredibly well, Brady. You like honestly, I'm really impressed with the way that you've been handling these conversations. I wanted to let you know, man. It's nice to hear. Yeah, you're doing great, man.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. I really do. Now, you said you have been working on a project. Are you at liberty to speak on what you've been working on?
So we're trying to produce a panel. A couple of people we're working on a project. It's not really ready yet.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Nah.
All good.
Sorry. I mean, it's kind of fun to think about, and we have been working on it, but it's not ready to go yet. The problem is that I'm actually bringing on a panel of atheists and potential like theists and like people who have different perspectives on things. So
you said atheists and what?
Theists.
Okay.
So I potentially have spiritualists more than theists. I think they like to. I don't know what this new trend is to like talk about yourself as a spiritualist or like.
Hold on. Question: did you see Matt Dillahunty's video on spiritualism?
Was a recent debate?
It wasn't a debate. It was last week. He put up a video on the problem. Or what did he say? Spirituality is nonsense. And so he's just walking. Did you see that one?
That has been his position for years. I've been following his career. That like souls and spirits don't exist. I mean, that's.
I haven't watched it.
I agree with that. But I happen to be bringing people on my panel who potentially believe in some sort of spiritualism. So
okay, well, I'm looking forward to
that.
And
we're going to argue against fundamental aspects. And
so
I am
spiritualists.
interested. I'm interested in seeing what happens with these people who are spiritualists when we investigate these arguments.
So are you going to be the only atheist in the conversation?
No.
Okay.
No.
Gotcha.
No, we'll bring on.
Yeah.
No. We'll have a couple of different panelists, but I'm trying to figure out I want it to be a little different because it seems like we're kind of doing the same thing, and and you're good at it. You're great at it, and I want you to keep doing what you're doing. But I'm kind of wanting to do something a little different.
I'm looking forward to it. I know you think in unique ways, so I'm looking forward to whatever you're about to do. I'll be there in the chat. So yeah.
But anyway, talking about so the last conversation that you were having, you did a great job at dissecting that all of the basic for lack of a better way of phrasing it, like all of the flaws in the arguments that were presented. You did a great job, man. And that's what needs to happen. You need to just continue dissecting. You're doing a great job. You keep doing a great job. And I think it's awesome. And if I can't do anything else, I just want to tell you the nature of your investigation style and the way that you do things, man, it's incredible. So
James, man, I'm not saying this just to say, I really do appreciate that coming from you, man. Thank you so much. I got somebody else who just jumped in and they might be a theist. Two people that just jumped in.
No shit.
Let's see if either one of them.
Yeah, I'll take them backstage. Hell yeah.
All right, you want to hang out backstage?
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Could
that's
I
fine.
come in if I have a question?
Yep, indeed.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang out.
Right.
Yeah, I want to listen.
All right, maybe I'll see you in a few. So sit tight.
Awesome.
All right. So my first call, I typically do 3 hours. We're at 3:04, but if you guys make it a good conversation, I will keep it going. So Spirit of No, you're first, and then Jack, you'll be next. All right. Spirit of No, your camera is off. If you want to turn it on, you can. You don't have to. All right. I kind of have a feeling I might have spoken to Spirit of No before, but I don't know. I never remember because there's so many people. Like I said, I talk to people even when I'm not doing this live. I'm talking to people constantly in Messenger or doing Zoom meetings and all that. So I really don't remember, like if we've spoken before until we get deep into the convo. So please don't be offended if I don't remember you and we spoke before. All right, Spirit of No, welcome to Ichabod. What's going on?
Well, peace unto this house. I've been having some technical difficulties, so if I break up, if you could just let me know.
Okay, and same, do the same. Real quick, have we spoken before on this platform?
I do not believe so. This is my first time. This is my first time seeing your program.
Okay, good stuff. And can you let us know where are you at with the God question? Are you atheist, theist, agnostic, or some other designation?
Well, I do believe there is more than this world. Okay. I do believe in the scriptures, and the reason I have for that is actually a technical reason. You can actually.
So let me understand what you've said so far. You do believe that there's more, but in saying that, does that mean you're not willing to call that more a God?
Well, I kind of think we're starting off on the wrong premise. If I was going to ask you to walk with me on a journey, I would start it like this. Do you believe in family?
When you say believe in family, you mean as a concept, or what do you mean?
No. Like,
do I think when people have kids and a wife or husband, is that a family? Is that what you're asking?
No. Well, I'm trying not to be too personal, but if I could ask you, do you have a heart for your family, so to speak?
I love my family. I love my relatives. Yes.
Okay. So you already have the spirit of holiness in you. And that is because men know how to love, but we know how to love what we want and desire. We don't love the things that we don't love, so to speak. So if you took your idealism of you love your family and you attributed it towards like me, you would now have the basic of understanding of where the gospel starts in my heart, is that we're here to love each other. And the Father is like if I was going to, since you've already have some experience with scriptural knowledge, it's more like this. He calls himself a father. He does not call himself your God. He wants you to see things as he does. He's looking for loving children. Now, we all know that
you hold on real quick, because you're saying a lot that, I need to chunk a lot of this down. You say, if I love my relatives, I already have the spirit of holiness. Like, what about me loving my relatives makes that the spirit of holiness? What is the spirit of holiness?
Okay, well, if I was going to say, we've probably all known somebody who's in a family who can do the family dirty. And it just blows my mind to think that some people could do that to your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, even your cousins or relatives. But for me, in my heart, when you take the scriptures, it takes it a step further and goes, I wouldn't do that to you. Because there's
to somebody who's not in your family.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's actually bigger than that, is that you are in my family. And if
so treating everybody like what you're doing for your family, kind of expanding that circle and putting everybody in that sphere of people that you're willing to love. And you're saying that is the spirit of holiness?
It is, because it's a spiritual significance. Nobody can logically say, well, you and I are brothers without, maybe trying to make some kind of actual connection. But in the spirit realm, it makes perfect sense. So even the atheists understand the spirit realm. It's like love. Love does not really exist in like the animal kingdom, because love is going past yourself. It's not that, it's like
animals go past themselves all the time. You find altruism in all kinds of animals. I'm not sure what you're saying there.
Well, I'm saying like nature itself is when something is hungry enough, it'll eat its own. generally. Not saying all creatures. I'm just saying walk with me on this journey. I'm not trying to be specific. If you want to be specific, it's just going to take a long time. But if you just want to be,
we may not have a long time. I think the red flags are probably going to start flying soon. The question is, why should I believe in God? Now, I have a feeling that you're probably going to say something to the effect of, I already do because I have love. Is that sort of where you're going to go with it?
No, I can actually understand scriptural understanding with one idea. Just and I know you could probably do it too, is if you were to ask yourself, I can see my flesh and I can see another side of me. Anybody could do that and go, well, there's stuff that I am greedy for that I shouldn't be. There's things that I want to do that I shouldn't do. Well, if we can justify to ourselves that there are limits and sometimes, we make bad choices, well, just understanding there's a choice to make should unlock our hearts to go, if there is a God, do you want to be against him? Well, most people would say, well, that would be foolish.
But hold on, wait. Because one of the things that happens is you say things that are worthy of their own conversation, and then you add other things that need their own conversation. You just asked the first question, if there is a God. Let's just start there. If there is a God, how do we know that there is or that there isn't a God? Can we answer that first before we get to what I want to be an enemy of that God? If there is a God, I would not want to be an enemy of that God. But how do I know that there is a God?
Okay, so here's my personal experience. I actually, logistically, I am very technical. I have actually delved into the literal scriptures, the Hebrew, the Greek, Aramaic, and even into English. And I have found one thing, if you want to open your heart up to understanding, that is, I can show you that there's a supernatural, I don't know what else to call it, to the Holy Bible, and it's only in the King James Version. It's in no other version. Hold on. Let me explain what I'm saying. Let me explain the point. Let me just explain this point before you get me off.
Do you think? Go ahead.
Okay, so in my eyes, I can see one thing would be true. If there is a God and he could make us, is it possible he could write us and give us information that could never be messed up by anybody if he wants us to know him? Now, the scriptures dictate that's exactly what he does. He says, I give you my word and it won't be contaminated. So that knocks a lot of the questions out about, well, who wrote it? And do we got translations? If you can get past all of that and say, show me proof, I can show you equidistant letter sequencing in scripture that it's impossible to come up with just by chance.
Spirit of no, they are red flagging. And some of the things that you're saying, it's so, and I don't say this to be disrespectful at all. I'm not a disrespectful kind of person. Some of the things you're saying is so easily refutable that I think you probably should spend some time workshopping this with some believing friends of yours about how to better present, or how to present a better reason for believing, because the King James Version and the spacing of words and these kind of things, like, sir, that's not going to do it for anybody here.
No, hold on.
And if that does it for you, you should demand more from a God. You should demand more from a book, from a religion, to be honest.
If I may,
I'll let you get the last word, but this is the last word because I have another call and the red flags have been flying like crazy.
Okay, I appreciate your time. I only came, in peace. What I was saying is that the equidistance letter sequencing is a code system that could just be found. I was just asking if you wanted to look into a factual basis of information that's hiding. That's all I was asking.
Yeah,
you. But
I get you. And maybe call back in sometime when we have people that have got a little more patience. We've been on for 3 hours already today. If we're going to do some kind of, gematria or some kind of like number sequence in the King James, we probably need to start earlier with that. I'm on Mondays and Tuesdays, somewhere between 3 or 4 I get on. So call back in and maybe we can chop it up.
Man. I appreciate you.
All right. Yeah. Thanks a lot, man. I'll talk with you.
All righty.
All right. All right. And I said this to you all before. I'm not going to be a slave to the red flags, but I do want to know what you all are thinking. And if you're not feeling it, I'm definitely taking that into account, especially if my own red flags are going up and my red flags are going up very early on in that call. So, all right. Welcome to Ichabod. Your name is on the screen, so I hope you don't mind me reading your name. All right. Jack Talcott. Hope I pronounced your name somewhere close to being right.
Perfect. Good enough. Hey,
okay. Hey, thanks for calling in. And can you just let us know real quick where you at? Atheist, theist, agnostic?
I've become a theist for sure.
Okay. And you said become. Is that a recent thing or what?
2018 started my path.
2018.
Yeah. So
without going too deep into it, did you come back to theism after leaving it, or was this your first time in life ever believing in God?
I was raised right as a kid, but absent from a church, and I lost sight of the messages. I got caught up in the ways of the world.
Okay. So real quick, before 2018, when you got caught up in the ways of the world and lost sight, was it God doesn't exist, or was it just I'm not paying attention to God?
I called myself an agnostic because I wasn't willing to commit to atheism. I saw things that I couldn't explain, that I couldn't understand. So I assumed there might be something.
Okay.
But I never really spent the time to look and try and understand it.
And then 2018, you become a theist. And do you become a theist in a particular rendition of God, or is it just God in general?
I've heard, I've been labeled as solipsism, and then there's something beyond that as well. I resisted it, but I did end up finding my way to the Bible and to the teachings of Jesus. So
okay. And I'm just curious, and it's also going to help with the call. As you found your way to the teachings of Jesus, do you embrace just Jesus's teachings, or do you embrace the whole Bible as the Word of God?
I know the Bible has a special place. It's a significance for us. Has it been altered? Has there been playing around with some of the interpretations? I believe that is logical. Yeah, of course, people are going to do that. And even from the spiritual perspective, assuming that God is real, then that would mean that perhaps the devil is real as well. And what would be the best way for the devil?
And in that, though, if God does have if God has communicated his thoughts, his wants, his will, his past actions, his plans for the future, if God's communicated that, but you're also willing to allow that maybe it's been changed or corrupted in some way, and then you bring in the idea of the devil, what you're also saying is, so God allowed his he went through the trouble of communicating and then allowed it to be corrupted.
Yes, it's part of it.
And do you think we have any access to, or any ability to know what parts have been corrupted and what parts haven't?
I believe that's one of the significance of this time we're living in right now, especially with the advent of communication and such. There's been discoveries of the past that have been, we've got scholars interpreting some of these other finds, like the scrolls from the Nag Hammadi library and such. I'm no expert on it, but I know there's a lot of new scholars alive right now that are putting the pieces together a little differently.
Okay. So as you're putting your pieces together, I'm only asking these questions because before I even get to the whole idea of God, I just want to know what you think God is. You mentioned solipsism a minute ago. Is your understanding of God that God is separate and distinct from creation? God is a personal being, or do you think that it's all actually one big presentation such that consciousness maybe tricks us into thinking we're separate from God, but we're kind of all really just one entity?
That last
That's
one.
where you are. Okay. Okay. So then it almost answers the question. If I say, why should I believe in God? It seems like your answer might be because we actually are it. And in believing in God, you're just believing in yourself.
Not just the self, but
okay,
the greater aspect, the divine aspect of the self, and the divine aspect that's beyond the self. So yes.
But so are you aware? What do you do with the fact that that's not Jesus's message? Jesus's message is, if you take the Bible as the word of God. Now I know we just talked about it being corrupted, but
sure, yeah.
The dilemma is the words that are attributed to Jesus is that God is separate and distinct from the creation, and God has a problem with the creation. And the way that God fixed the problem with the creation was that God put on his son the punishment that he had in store for the creation. And the creation doesn't re-become God. The creation just becomes blessed children of God who get to enjoy God forever. They don't become one. They become one in the sense of being unified, but not in the sense of being the same being. Because some of that creation he's going to judge and send to hell. They won't be one with him. So anyway, I'm just curious, in all of that, do you agree with those teachings, or do you think those are the teachings of the Bible that were corrupted?
Those are great questions. And I truly do. I really respect and appreciate how you do your stream. Thank you. Sorry. That's one of the things that personally, sending the son to be punished on behalf of the world, to me, I think that might be some of the loose interpretations, right? Where I was thinking is that it would make sense that if God had given us the truth, that for us to be fallen, the truth would have to be distorted and corrupted. And I think that happened in many of the churches with the dogma and the hierarchy and a lot of the other stuff. And I get a lot of criticism. I call myself a follower of Jesus, but I view a lot of the Christian interpretations as the blood sacrifice worship.
So I mean, Jack, I love you already because I see you're seeking for truth. But one of the questions I have for the follower of Jesus who will at least admit the Bible that we read is probably not God's ideal for what he wanted us to know. I'm just curious, do you fault God at all for allowing it to become corrupted? Like, what do you do with the fact that God communicated, but we don't have what he wanted us to have? What do you do with that?
It's in there. The thing is the truth and the answers are in there. But the Bible, I've heard it described by someone else. It's written so perfectly that we will find what we're looking for. If you want excuses for slavery and corruption and murder and all of these other things, it's there. But the teachings of Jesus, the wisdom behind love, that was the commandment, to love. Love what you can know, love what you can't know, but be with love, and the rewards of that, that's why you should believe in God.
Are you open to consider that, as wonderful as that might be, that Jesus had this message of love, that these could just be, because if you're willing to allow that maybe somebody put some stuff in to corrupt the message, it doesn't just have to be corrupting the message. Somebody could have put some good stuff in there too. Like, just because I add something to the Bible, I don't have to just add bad things. I could add good things. Could it be that somebody just wanted to put loving words in Jesus's mouth, and those aren't even original words, but people just felt, hey, you know what? We should be more loving. Let me slip those into my Jesus. Could that be possible?
It could be. Can I share briefly my progression?
Yeah, and then I have somebody, my guy James is backstage. He wanted to ask you a question as well, but go ahead.
For myself, I grew up and accumulated a lot of fear. To overcome my fear, I had to come to terms with what is, right? And so I had to find a better relationship with the truth. And once I started trying to examine what is the truth, well, that's when in my mind, God is the truth. But the reality is behind the truth is love. The two go hand in hand.
Can you have one without the other?
I don't know that you can. Oh, wait.
Yeah, you got to think about it.
You can have perceptions of, but not without the whole. Yes, no, you would not have the wholeness of either without the two, but you could have perceptions of one without the other.
So if I love but don't have God, I actually have perceptions of God, even though I don't believe in God. And if I have God without love, and the Bible says you can't have God without love, right? So if I have God, I actually do have love, which means if I find people that are not loving, they don't have God. Is that sort of how it all works out?
I think I followed you. Yes, I think that's
I'm sorry. That was a little bit of a riddle.
It was quick.
Let me bring James in real quick because James had a question. What's up, James?
Hey,
James.
Jack. Hey, man.
James, can we know your cat's name?
Oh yeah, his name's Dandelion.
Dandelion. Okay.
He looks like a
all right. He keeps popping in the screen, so I figured we should know his name.
Yeah, he'll be here.
Go ahead. You had a question.
Yeah. Yeah, and my dogs are actually back here. I got Sozo right here.
Oh wow, I didn't even see the dog.
Yeah, the dogs, and I got Aster on the other side. So I got dogs and cats everywhere. Anyway, hey Jack, I really appreciate how honest you've been. I have a question. Does a God exist?
I'm convinced that if I exist, God exists.
Okay. So my question, the reason I asked you that directly is because it seems like you've been making an argument for existential angst. You have said that you didn't find purpose or meaning. Most of what you said is that the way that you found purpose and meaning and value has been from this introspective discovery of existential angst. And from that meaning, you've derived this position of a God and that you found value in it. And I just don't see that there's actually a being there. Do you think there's a being there? Or do you think that this is just a human value that we should examine for like pragmatic or utilitarian reasons?
If I follow the question, it
was long. I'm sorry.
It's fine. But the question I heard was perhaps about the nature of the beingness of God.
Yeah. Do you think a God actually exists?
Yes. It's not in a way that.
Do you think it has a consciousness and a mind and all that?
I believe it is consciousness.
Oh, you think we're all a part of that? Like are you a polytheist?
I wouldn't define myself as a polytheist. There's a term. Okay. I understand what's the word? Solipsism.
Solipsism is separate, and those are two different concepts. But yeah, so I'm trying to understand your perspective.
Well, here's something interesting, James. I could see a connection between solipsism and maybe pantheism or something like that.
Sure.
Like if you think everything is God, then there's a shared
then maybe
consciousness.
That could be. Is that what you're expressing, Jack?
It's less the material and it's more in the I guess the awareness or in the consciousness, because that's where it's all
Hey, Jack, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
When you when you interact with the world, is it material or is it just your mind?
Internally, I'm reacting to the perceptions processed through my mind and what my mind is.
But is there a material world?
The material world is as real as we are, but I'm convinced that we are less real than God is. God is the
This
real.
this is so interesting because it's almost like there's a mysticism here.
Yes.
And mysticism is always hard to pin down.
Yeah.
But here we are in a world
And that's what we're
material.
trying to do, Jack.
Yeah.
We're not trying to beat you up, man.
No,
we're just trying to figure out what your concept actually is, because it sounds a little incoherent, and I'm not trying to be an asshole. I mean, I am. but I'm asking because I care about trying to pin down these ideas.
James, let me ask you this question, Jack, because I think this is what James is getting at. Everything that you said, Jack, the real question I think we have is, how can we know if any of the things that you think are true are true? How can we know?
I would suggest it's less important for you to know what I know, and it's most important for you to know the truth of you, right? This is what I learned. I feel I was allowed the time, the opportunity, and the motivation to look within me, to discover, who am I? And there's an old Sufi saying, if I remember right, that I searched for God, found only myself. I searched for myself to discover God. That's kind of what happened with me in some way.
Can I suggest something to you that I say on this podcast all the time?
Please.
I think that we are discovering things about ourselves, about how the brain works, about the universe and how matter works and the laws of. We're discovering all these things, and the problem I think is we've only been handed religious language to express the things that we think are phenomenal, like all these different phenomena that we're experiencing. I've only been giving religious language, and the religious language can only get me so far. But what I end up doing is saying, this language is ancient. It's the best that humans have had in the past. So now I'm going to stuff all these great grand concepts that don't even really fit in the old terms: spirituality, God, sin, all the terms. We're stuffing all these new concepts that are so grand into these old terms and still trying to make the old terms work. And so we feel like we're religious because we're using the old terms, but we've got all these new concepts that don't really fit. That's sort of what I think is going on a lot.
The language and the vocabulary to describe an experience, right? It's how do you describe a taste or a sound, right?
And I think it sandbags the experience, because when you start saying things like God and sin and all these things, what it does is it keeps you from soaring into where the new heights that humanity is going, because now I'm tied to these old concepts. So do I got to call myself a Christian now because I'm using Christ consciousness and I'm using all these terms? I think it sandbags us.
I agree I agree considerably. All of these divisions, our language, our vocabulary, we found reasons to divide from one another. But I do believe my own path, I resisted Christianity. I resisted the Bible. I went to science, philosophy, psychology, stuff like that. And I started getting convinced there's something behind all of this knowledge we're discovering.
Hey, Jack. Can I ask you a question? And your honesty is really, it's kind and considerate, and I really appreciate it. Is it okay if I ask you a question?
Please.
What convinced you that a God exists?
I was just sitting here thinking the same thing, James. Yeah.
I finally surrendered. I accepted that God exists. And I finally did that because, number one, I kept getting shown that I didn't control anything. I didn't control any outcomes. I didn't control.
Why did that mean a God exists, though? That's what bothers me. Like, yeah, I don't control anything. Like, yeah, the universe works. It's got a lot of physical laws. I don't control it. I didn't come to the same conclusion you did. How did you come to that conclusion?
In a way, it might have been what you pointed out. I wasn't sure if I understood what you were saying clearly about the existential angst, as what I think you described.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I think
It's
that's
possible.
important.
It's possible.
I think a lot of people experience it. I think it's more prevalent than people want to admit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I'm understanding that right, it's in line with the scripture. We go through these trials and tribulations for the purposes of refinement.
So you found coherence in the scripture from your existential angst, and that convinced you that that's your journey toward a God? Or is that, did I misunderstand what you were just, I was,
well, hold on,
I was trying to follow your,
James, you maybe want to ask a different question. And Jack, if you feel like we're like double, like tag teaming you, like
then I'll back off. I can back off.
Do you think that only Christianity gets someone to the God that you believe exists, or do you think that there are other roads,
That's a great
other
question.
religions to the same God?
I believe that the different religions are fingers pointing at God, and like children, we're focused on the finger instead of the direction.
Can I hear that again? That didn't sound like an answer to me at all.
The religions, I believe, are pointing towards God. Okay.
Okay. So that's like Baha'i religion. Like everything is pointing towards God. Like everybody's trying to find God, and that's what we're all trying to do.
I would go a step further and say, I think those fingers are all pointing to ourselves, and we don't like what that means. And so once again, we go to the vocabulary of
Brady.
We need something bigger, something higher.
Yeah.
And so we'll call it
something
God.
that makes it mean more than what it means, because we need it to mean more than what it means. Yeah.
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 By chance of
existential angst.
By chance of either of you dealt with addictions?
Oh, yeah.
I have not.
Bit. I've been in mental health care. I write mental health care curriculum for substance abuse. I do EDMR training and hypnosis and mental health care. I write curriculum for that. I've been doing that for about 7 years. So yeah, I have a little experience, but I'm not actually qualified. I showed relevancy in the field and an expertise.
The reason I asked is my life did. I spent much of my life as an alcoholic, and it was actually
I'm sorry, bro.
Hey, it was my path, and I learned a lot. It was in the rooms of AA that I actually was reminded of this idea and a concept of a higher power. Because
right, yeah, the 12-step program is powerful. I mean, you start with you can't change what you can't change type stuff, so I mean, it's powerful, man. It influences you heavily. I can understand why you got there. Yeah. Well, man, and if that helped you dude, that's awesome. Like, honestly, I really support anybody who's getting personal help from any mechanism.
One of the last things I would want to do is if the higher power route is what helped you. So I say this to people all the time, and I hope it's not cruel. So you tell me if you think it might be cruel. Because I have people that tell me, they say, Brady, I know you don't believe anymore, but trust me, God used you, Brady. God used your music, because I was a Christian musician. God used your music to point me to God, and it got me out of addiction. It got me that, and all these things. And here's what I say, without trying to be cruel, what it means is you actually had the power to do this on your own all along, but because you could not tap into the motivation, the religion or the idea of God was sort of used as the touching off point to get you to tap into the motivation that you needed. But you actually had the power, you just were not properly motivated. Do you think that's cruel? Because I don't want to take that away from anybody who that was the thing that helped you.
For people who have been in 12-step programs, I think it does sound a little bit because you haven't ever gone through it, Brady.
Yeah.
So I've worked with people and clients who have been through it, and the hellscape of not being able to escape substance abuse and being able to latch on to the 12-step program, it is so helpful. And I'm seeing this happen a lot. I think it's healthy for you to be healthy. If this is the way for you to be healthy, Jack, then nobody wants to take that from you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Were you jumping in?
Well, I was going to say this one last thing, and then Jack, you can get the last word here. This is not to take away from what you just said, James, at all. But even though I've never been through addiction, when I unbecame a theist, I still had to find motivation within myself to do all the things that I had to do in life. So it wasn't necessarily beating addiction, but it was having to realize how resourceful, how resilient, how creative, how whatever I needed to be, I had to find that without going into the thing that I, you know what I'm saying? So not trying to take away from what you said at all.
No, it's beautiful. Well, I believe that's part of our trials and tribulations. We got to sometimes, I mean, the way we're designed, we're stupid. We'll self-sabotage. That's what I did as an alcoholic. Right?
How about this? Maybe it's not the way that we designed we're stupid. It's that the way that we developed.
All right.
This is how far we've gotten. This is only how far we've gotten. Maybe we'll get further, 100 generations. Maybe we will have the ability to tap into those resources without having to have an outside, external source for it.
I love what you're saying, brother. I got to share this crazy part about me. I know you're running long.
All good. No, all good. Do your thing. I'm enjoying
along this crazy path of mine where I did find faith. I've also found what I believe is a greater purpose. I actually believe that through God's grace, we have everything we need on earth right now. And if we can believe, if we can have faith, either in God, faith in ourselves, faith in what's right, the truth of our unity, if the world will accept the truth that we're all in this together, we can end this legal war nonsense, legal exploitation, legal secrets.
I don't have any problem with any of that.
I have tons of problems with everything you said right there. Yeah, like I don't think that's the way forward. You mentioned God and stuff. We don't believe in God. Like everything you said was like, we're not going to agree with that.
So I guess one of the things that James is saying, like, because James, I love what you said, but the reason why I don't have any problem with it is because I'm like, oh, you're just naming it God, but I'm naming it something else.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm looking at us.
Yeah, okay.
But so cool. That's how I get there.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Well, then I'm cool with everything you said then.
Well, consider this, and this is in line with my spiritual beliefs. I view the truth.
You believe there are spirits?
Yeah, the spirits are with us.
Okay. Do you have evidence of spirits? Jesus, Jack, you just sent us on another spiral.
Nah, let's let him get this one off because I gotta get ready to dip. It's almost 4 hours, and James, I'll let you get the last word because I think we know what we're saying here. But go ahead, James, finish what you were saying. I mean, Jack, I'm sorry.
I lost it. I got motorbikes driving behind me and stuff. I'm gonna bounce out. Respect. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, thank you so much, man. Appreciate the call, and please call back in sometime. We can chop it up again.
Much love.
All right, much love.
Wow, that was a great caller.
Oh, okay.
Hey, man.
Hey,
that was a great caller.
Hey, man, the sincerity, just the honest, like these are my thoughts. Here's where I'm at with things.
Super honest. And
great way to wrap the show.
Yeah, he really covered everything that most Christians really are experiencing, like existential angst, like why they cling to this type of mentality and stuff.
But very few Christians will acknowledge that they have these
not that real,
needs.
Not that real, not that honest.
Yeah.
That was so honest.
Hey, man,
and
thank you for riding shotgun.
Dude, it was a blast. You're amazing. I love you. Everything you do. Read your book. Get it. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and shout out. Don't get gaslit.
Hey, much love to you, man.
All right. Thank you. You're amazing.
All right.
I love you guys.
Appreciate you, man. Yep, much love. Jack says, thank you for the great conversations, Ichabod and James. Blessings to the chat and viewers. For sure. Everybody who's been rocking with me, we've been on for 3 hours, going on 4 hours so far. I'll be back on Thursday for Life After Faith, and then back on next Monday and Tuesday. Much love to you guys. Go on and have a great night. And I will get with y'all on the next one. Peace.